Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. However you happen to be watching and or listening to this, I want to welcome you to the latest episode of the Gaming Circle podcast. The podcast where, as it seems, we are missing one co-host, but we're stacked with wonderful friends who join us. I am, of course, your host, Mr. K. Asante, TK Asante, on all the places that we communicate. These days, that tends to be the Discord. We have a growing community there, where we're having great conversations and whatnot. So as long as you know how to wipe your feet when you walk in our house, how about you slide onto the Discord and join us from time to time. We already see a lot of great folks from our Discord in the chat right now, so salute to all of you. I am, of course, joined by some great friends. First and foremost, one of the lords of our Discord, the master of all he surveys, Mr. Lucius Augustus. Good morning, sir. Appreciate you for joining me. What's going on, man?
Good morning. Speaking of the Discord, I wanted to give an announcement, considering that some people might be listening to this either live or listening to it afterward. I wanted to make it very clear there's been some changes to our Discord. There is a welcome section where you just kind of have to read the rules and agree to at the very bottom. You just got to click on that check mark. Right now, we have 41 people who have done that. Thank you so much for those 41 people. As of July 3rd, that is going to be the last day that you're going to have the ability to do that. Once it's July 4th, we switch a certain thing on, and then if you have not accepted to those rules, you will not be able to see anything inside of the Discord outside of the welcome tab. Okay.
Until you accept those terms. Right now we're kind of transitioning from one model to another. So after that day, all you will see is kind of those terms that you have to accept. We're basically becoming more like a community that you will see in other Discords, right? Usually you come to a Discord, you see there's a bunch of rules of the road, if you will. As we say, wipe your feet when you walk in our house, right? And all of that. So as soon as you accept those terms, then of course you jump in. So yes, I appreciate you. I forgot to mention that off the top.
And I know that there's a couple people who only show up to the Discord every now and then. So this is a reminder to them specifically. Hey, if you have not been in the Discord in the past couple days, go do that, so that way you don't lose access to all the voice channels and all the text channels and everything else. We're trying to give people as much time as possible, but it's been a couple days, and I just wanted to remind everybody. On top of giveaways in the Discord will be paused until July 4th. So just a reminder for everybody, there's not going to be any giveaways. It's inside of the Discord specifically until July 4th. However, there will be 3 giveaways today during the podcast. And that is, again, thanks to Dr. Dry Rub. Those 3 games will be Resident Evil 2, Death Stranding Director's Cut, and Spider-Man Remaster, all of which I believe are on Steam.
Yes, sir. So I guess during the middle of the show at some point, we'll pick a name and we'll ask folks to put it in the chat, as you do here on StreamYard, and then we'll pick a name at random, and whoever gets it will in their DMs receive the code. Shout out to the great Dr. Dry Rub, another great member of our community. Thank you so much. And thank you, Lucius, for reminding me all the great housekeeping notes at the top. But of course, we're not just joined by the great Lucius Augustus. We're also joined by another returning champion. The great Game Logic joins us, looking quite spiffy in his Kojima gear. How you doing this morning, sir?
Good, man. Good. How are you guys?
We're just hanging out, man. We're down Mr. Everborn Saga, which I will tell y'all where he is in a moment. But yeah, we're happy to have you here, man. How's things going with you?
Good. I've got some rehab to do, physically speaking, but outside of that, so I'm not at 100% right now, but
understood. Yep.
Pretty much overcome most things that would interfere with production, but not everything. But yeah, some more work to do there.
Understood. I'm happy to have you here, man. Happy you're still alive and kicking. Good to have you here, sir. All right. So, for those who are wondering where Mr. Everborn Saga is, he, of course, regaled us with the tales of him and his Everborn Saga wares being available at the Garden State Comic Fest. If you recall, this is in New Jersey. He will be at booth L15 today at the Cody Arena, West Orange in New Jersey. So if you happen to be around, how about you roll through and say what's up to the man? You know, maybe take a picture. It'd be awesome to see some community members join him. I'll also put that information up before the end of the show. But yeah, it's good that he's able to get out in those places, and we appreciate him whenever he can join us. So salute to Mr. Everborn Saga if you happen to see him. But we appreciate y'all for continuing to rock with us. As you know, this show begins as we always do with some games we've been playing, and I think I'll start with you, Lucius, this morning. How you doing, sir? And what games are going through your rotation today? I know that many of us in our Discord have been every time one of us finishes Expedition 33, it gives us all an excuse to revisit in our mind Expedition 33. What are you playing these days? Don't tell me it's Expedition 33.
No. There's too many games. So I've been going through a lot of things in my backlog. I've been installing a couple games as a way to to the front of my mind to make sure to play them, especially before the end of the year when we start getting into Game of the Year discussions. So just in the past couple weeks, I've tried a bunch of different games just to kind of open my mind towards things. I've played FBC Firebreak. That game is from the makers of Control. It's in the universe of Control, but it's lacking a lot of the things that make Control interesting, such as the intricate story, the interesting, wacky characters, the weird objects of power. A lot of the things that you deal with in here, it's not a bad game, and it can be enjoyable, but there just doesn't seem to be a sense of progression from my understanding. And you really need that when it comes to multiplayer games. There's little to no onboarding. They don't it literally, you start the game and you get to the player screen where you can get friends or whatever, but that's it. There's nothing that explains to you what the different abilities for the different characters are. Nothing explains to you the synergy that you can have between the characters. And this is not to say that these things don't exist. It's just that it does not do a very good job at telling you about any of them. So I don't know if they do exist. So that's kind of a problem.
Weird. I do remember installing this thing, and when I booted it up for the first time, the first welcome screen was kind of jarring, right? And maybe it was because I thought that it was more of a complete product than it was. But to your point, it just jump you right into the matchmaking screen, and you're just no welcome, no hello, no what is this game about?
No welcome to this game, no splash. Yeah. What's going on? This is weird. It seems as if this is definitely something where it's all right, let's get our B team working on this multiplayer thing, so that way they get used to the concept of multiplayer and a bunch of this other stuff. And I don't know how much this game costs, but I believe this game is both on Xbox Game Pass and PlayStation Plus. I could be wrong on the PlayStation Plus side. I'm not 100% sure, but this game still sold over 1 million copies in less than a few days. So it is, wow. It's weird to me, right? It's weird to me how this game is not really that good. It's coming from a single player minded studio.
But that Control, man, that Control is good though, right? Maybe it's treading on that name.
But then you see games like this sell 1 million copies or whatever, have 1 million. Maybe it was 1 million players. I'm not 100% sure about what metric they use. And I could look that up in a couple minutes. But
yeah, I did hear that it is, even though it's a for pay game, it is both on PlayStation Plus's service as well as on Game Pass. So they also got the bags on that side as well covered. So that was a good look on their part, I think.
Yeah, so having 1 million people try this game, that's really good for them. It kind of speaks to what is possible on these gaming services, because the the barrier to entry is just so low that it just kind of allows you to be able to try a bunch of different things, even if you don't end up liking it that much. But it gives the company a lot of telemetry to tell them what they need to do right and wrong, and it gives like places like Game Pass new releases to be able to constantly come out for. So definitely a benefit. Maybe they should have tried this with Concord. If they put it on PS Plus, maybe there would have had more players, and thus the studio could have continued to exist. But that's just me slandering. But yeah, outside of FPC Firebreak, I've been playing my Switch 2 a lot.
Oh yeah, talk about your Switch 2. Yes,
but I have not been playing Switch 2 games because there are none.
Now I was about to, before you even said that, Sland, I was about to be like, be careful. You see MJ Dark, aka President Nintendo, for those who know in our Discord, is watching you. So be careful with your words, sir. He's readying a volley of verbal lashings towards you right now, I bet.
Listen, give me like, I'm waiting for a new Fire Emblem still. And while I wait for that new Fire Emblem, I'm playing Fire Emblem 3 Houses on my Switch 2. And
nice.
On the Switch, it's still 30 FPS on the Switch 2, unfortunately. It would just, and that game obviously is a strategy RPG. If you've ever played Fire Emblem games before, it's a Fire Emblem game. But like, if you haven't played it, then just kind of think to some capacity Disgaea or Final Fantasy Tactics, something like that. But it also has like Persona relationship dynamics on top of a like teaching system where you have to.
Which Fire Emblem exactly are you playing?
Three Houses.
Three Houses? Yeah. Okay.
Three Houses. So 3 Houses is really interesting. Really enjoyed it playing on the Switch 1. On the Switch 2, the 30 FPS is more consistent, so it just makes it a better playing experience when you're navigating around the church location and all the doing the like teaching kids stuff, all that stuff. So I've been enjoying that. I wish that there was at least an announcement for a new Fire Emblem game. That would really make me excited. Especially considering the last Fire Emblem Engage, was mostly just waifu simulator. And some people would say, hey man, Fire Emblem's been that for like a while now. And I'm like, sure, but there was still like the good story and all this other stuff that was a part of 3 Houses that really gave people kind of a great vision as to like what Fire Emblem could be. And then Engage came out, and it is just pure waifu bait. It's just every single, like, this game used to be about lords and ladies having to fight for land, and now every single character that you can recruit just looks like this. What you're seeing on screen right now with the haired lady and all the decorations and the booba, all of that. That's just like most of the characters, and it's just like, come on, man. Like I like anime just as much as the next person, but I'm not like one of those dudes. like I can have normal.
Are we shaming people here on the GCP this morning?
Yeah. I'm looking at you, Yuzu.
Oh no!
I'm kidding. It's all jokes. It's all jokes. But this Fire Emblem was just a bit too waifu / husbando simulator for me. So I went back to the earlier game, 3 Houses, with the good story and the interesting character dynamics and the relationships that each and every single NPC character has with every other NPC character. It can get exhausting to some point. Like if you recruit so many people, the relationship dynamics between, like every time that you recruit one additional person, that one person has a relationship dynamic with every other person inside of your group. So if you start recruiting 20 people,
so from a development standpoint, it looks like there's a lot of ties that bind there, right? There's a lot of threads that potentially have a lot of content for you.
And, each person has an interesting relationship dynamic with each other person. So there is like an interesting aspect to it. It just can get a bit exhausting. And then in Engage, they removed all of that. They removed all of that, where the interesting relationships were, and the writing is terrible. The story is bad. I was going to say something else, but the writing is bad, and it's just a waifu simulator. So for me, I was just like, I'm good. I hope the next Fire Emblem is more like Three Houses and less like this. But that's it. I'll stop taking the floor. I'll leave it up to Game Logic next to speak on what he's playing.
Well, yeah. All right. Now, I know some people are all about it, and some people are like, "What is this Fire Emblem stuff?" There are people who literally do not play Switch games or Nintendo games, rather, at all. But for Fire Emblem, they'll make an example. So, hey, I haven't really ever connected with the series as much, but all respect to them. Before we get to Game Logic, real quick, the aforementioned president of Nintendo, MJ Dark 8404, who's been a member for 17 months. Thank you, sir. He says, "Bravo, Game Logic, for the Kojima avatar. Godjima is cooking in Death Stranding 2. Highly recommended. People play it. Good morning, K." Good morning, sir. Appreciate you, and I appreciate you keeping your slander to a minimum. That was nice. Now, Wade Johnson, he asked the question. He just put it in the chat, and I was just like, I want to talk to you about that, sir.
Wade Johnson. Let me just say this. Good games are good games. If you, inside of your mind, separate like platforms based off of what you think age bracket should be, let me tell you, brother, it's just that's just whack. All right.
But to give him a little bit of credit, just a little bit, it is still very notable that even the Switch 2, which you can tell by all accounts was engineered for adult hands now, because now it's a little bit bigger, it's wider, it's taller. Pause. It's still very flat and very thin and very not meant to hold for any length of time. It's, so if his slander means ergonomics need to happen, I think I'll allow it.
No, you know what I'm saying? No, he's putting slander on the games, and I get that, like, if your perception of Nintendo games are like Mario and like that's it, then sure. But and if your perception of it is like Mario and Pokemon, then yes, I understand. But like more mature games like Fire Emblem, like Metroid, those things have existed on Nintendo titles for a very long time. So we can't ignore that they also have more mature, like in Fire Emblem, you're the people that if you're playing on competitive, which there are two difficulties on two types of difficulties in Fire Emblem. You have the difficulty of the NPC characters, like how hard your actual battles are going to be, and then you can either play casual or competitive. And competitive is essentially the traditional mode, where if a unit dies in battle, it dies. Your relationship with that person ends.
That is kind of crazy. I have always appreciated and respected that, even in the game that may not look as intimidating or whatever as you'd think in your mind, it has the capability of having permadeath, and it's like solid permadeath, and it's just gone. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Yeah, I do like that.
Most Fire Emblem people who are fans of Fire Emblem play on competitive. That's how they like to play it, because there's risk in everything that you do.
By the way, I should also note, and once again, shout out to the great community. Shout out to all the wonderful humans that are in our chat and continue to always be supporting us and rocking with us. Mortivore in our chat, also a great member of our Discord. He also has provided us a couple codes to give away. So in addition to the codes from the great Dr. Dryrub, we're getting Bolt Gun and Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver Remaster 1 and 2. So shout out to the great Mortivore. Fantastic, man. Appreciate y'all. So I think let's move on to the great Game Logic. Kojima, sir, step to the front of the stage and tell us some games you've been playing.
Yeah, and I put links. I know sometimes you like to show gameplay, and I don't know if the Twitter links work for you.
The man posted links directly of his gameplay on Twitter. we will post it and we'll showcase it. So go ahead. First and foremost, I think this is Forza Horizon. Or Motorsport, am I wrong?
Actually, it's Forza Motorsport 6. So kind of like Lucius. Yeah. I've been having a good time going back. And I guess it's not coming through on Twitter that good.
These things just never work perfectly. It is what it is.
Yeah, on Twitter it does not look that choppy. At any rate, kind of like Lucius, I've been having a really good time going back and digging through my my backlog, and so I went back and checked out Forza Motorsport 6 because I don't have the new Forza Motorsport because I'm not subscribed to Game Pass right now, and I didn't buy that one. So I have Motorsports. Well, I have all the Motorsports prior to this one. So I went back and took a look at 6, and I've had a really good time. We were in the Discord earlier this week talking about sim racers versus kind of things that are a little more arcadey, like your Need for Speeds and your Forza Horizon stuff. And I've been playing racing sims since the 90s, and I'm a Formula One fan and World Superbike and MotoGP, and so any racing game that gives me an ability, and I prefer like street courses, right, instead of kind of open world, or like the Forza Horizon cross country kind of stuff. So any opportunity to drive classic courses, like this is Long Beach, right, which is one of my courses that's my kryptonite, along with Monaco, and some of these other kind of wall courses. Miami, I'm probably also not a super huge fan of. I used to hate Azerbaijan, Bahrain, and Abu Dhabi. Azerbaijan is like a closed circuit, street course circuit like this. Abu Dhabi and Bahrain are just aggravating, but I've gotten less irritated at those over time. But yeah, this was just a great opportunity to go back and drive some of these classic courses. I played a European circuit in the dark. So I got to race Spa-Francorchamps and the Nürburgring Formula One circuit, and then got to play in the daytime on the Catalunya circuit at Barcelona, Sebring, which is not one of my favorite courses. There was also a track which is not, I don't think it's a real world track, but it's in Rio in Forza Motorsport 6, and so there's this part of the track where you're racing up the hill, and off to your left, you can see the Jesus statue on, I think it's Mount Cocofo in Rio de Janeiro, if you've ever been there. If you haven't, there's tons of pictures, right, of that mountain. Over the time, it's super scary because the glide slope for the approach path to the airport actually goes over that mountain. But there's just some great courses here. In particular, the audio really struck out to me. In Forza Motorsport 6, there are some other races where I'm racing a Ford Mustang. I think it's like a 502. It's some special model. I used to own a Mach 1, and I used to love the throaty sound of the Mach 1 when you would start it up. And so just the audio engineering in Forza Motorsport 6 is just great. So it's so great that these titles stand the test of time and are kind of a testament to the very intense design work that Turn 10 did back in the day throughout all the legacy of these motorsport games. And it's great that you can go back and revisit them. Forza Horizon, I tend to play until I've kind of exhausted all the race stuff, because I'm not really as huge a fan of like the XP boards and the sightseeing and the stunts and some of the other activity-based stuff that they put in there. I just like the wheel-to-wheel racing. So in a Forza Horizon title, I generally exhaust that title at some point, and then I'm like, okay, I don't need to go back and play that anymore. But these motorsport games just have a ton of replayability, and it's awesome to go back to them.
Excellent. What else would you like to discuss on your gaming list, sir?
I've also been playing Red Dead Redemption 2, so there's that last link in the
yes. Now I was talking with people about Red Dead Redemption 2 in the Discord, and I respect the hell out of it. I really, really do. But I cannot, it took me so long to get from living the mundane, slow-paced cowpoke life to getting to the cool bits that I fell off.
Bro,
please talk me on to getting back on the
bro. Let me tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
I am the same as you. I literally have never gotten out of the mountain. The slowdown at the very beginning of the game.
I've actually gone further than that. Much further. But still.
I tried to play the game 2 times. Both times I fell asleep in the mountain.
Oh no.
So to commiserate, I will tell both of you, I am the same. It has taken me years to come around to this. If you go back to when this game launched to an episode of Enough to Keep Going, and I'm a big, it's funny, Lucius talked about the onboarding in FPC. I am an onboarding Nazi. That is one of the things that when you talk about game design and game implementation, I am the harshest on. Because if the onboarding does not go, and I have some particular theories and hypotheses about how onboarding should work and what well-designed onboarding is. If the onboarding is not good, that is the thing to me that turns the gamer off, right? And tells them, put the game down. I don't want to be bothered with this. And when this game initially launched, the onboarding was the thing that caused me to fall off. There are aspects of this game at its inception that I hated, and one of those things is how there are so many things in the game that are mission context specific that make absolutely no difference to the rest of your progress in the game, right? So like you help Bill set up the explosives for the train robbery at the beginning of the game. That is not a skill, right? And as far as I know, and I haven't played that deeply into the game, but it's not something you need to learn or something you need to that gets replicated, right? There, in particular, in the train robbery, there's a segment of the game where the gun mechanic is entirely different than any other physics action game mechanic that you go through in the rest of the game, right? When the character, I can't remember his name, I think Charlie maybe, but the guy who's biracial, mixed Native American and African American, he gets taken right by the train engineer, and you have to shoot the train engineer. But the gun may, and instead of pulling the left trigger, right, which is what you normally do to aim your weapon, and then maybe going into Deadeye or something like that and pulling the right trigger to shoot, it tells you to pull the right trigger to do a slow aim. So it's completely different than, and so in general, I tend to, and this is also why sometimes I hate boss battles. Like, I don't like to be asked to do something that is like not a recursive skill that I need to learn in the game. And is rewarding, right, in terms of me learning it, right, and progressing through the game. So it has taken me years to get my teeth into this game. I have started it a dozen times and then fallen off. But I have come around these days to being able to appreciate it more. In particular, the graphical upgrades over time have definitely helped. On PC, it originally arrived capped at 60 frames per second. And then it got DLSS implemented, which allowed you to scale the frames per second higher. So that made the game like really play well, and it really looks gorgeous on PC. Here I'm playing in both Forza Motorsport 6 and this I'm playing on the Xbox Series X. On the Series X, I am not entirely certain exactly what I'm seeing and what has been done. I know this game has not received an XS version or a specific like cataloged update, but the Series X is sending a 120 hertz 4K signal to my TV, which I guess means maybe it's painting each frame twice. But regardless, it looks good, right, on the Xbox Series X, and I'm having a ton of time playing it. It plays very smooth, and I'm enjoying it. I think I've been concurrently playing Red Dead Redemption alongside of this, which is way more Grand Theft Auto.
One?
Yes, the first one.
Okay.
Which was the 360 version, right? But is way more kind of Grand Theft Auto-y in its like very compartmentalized mission to mission structure. And I think maybe kind of getting my teeth into that helped, right, me kind of on ramp getting back to Red Dead Redemption 2. But it's a beautiful game. I'm having a ton of time playing it. It's much more story and narrative driven than kind of mission to mission driven. But if you have that kind of mission to mission kind of chunk in your head and know that that's a piece you're going to have to go through while you have to go through some of that slow, let me world build the Old West for you kind of stuff, then I think it becomes more palatable. But at any rate, I'm having a ton of time playing it. It's ton of fun playing it.
If there's one reason why I really want to get into this game at some point, is so that way I can start hunting racists in the wild, tying them up on railroad.
Wow.
waiting for the train.
Jeez.
So you bring up a good point. Actually, it's a comment I mean to make. The other thing that helps a lot for me in this game, and I think this is a thing I had to learn with Ubisoft games, and I know there's a ton of complaints with Ubisoft games and the icons all over the place. But I love Ubisoft things, and it's a thing that I had to come through. What I eventually learned is a key component of this is I have to decide, as a matter of player provenance, how I'm going to go about playing the game. And you probably, and people who have gone through like Elder Scrolls games have probably gotten this too, right? Like I can't go into the game and allow myself to be subject to being distracted by every side mission Opedia that comes across my windshield. So every time I leave camp in Red Dead Redemption, or the house in Red Dead Redemption, or camp in Red Dead Redemption 2, every time I leave camp, I've selected where I'm going, my mission. I only focus on missions that show up on the mini map, because there are more missions available if you go out to the global map. I only care about the ones on the mini map. And when I'm going towards those missions, I decide, 2 decision points I make is, am I going to engage in any side activity that I come by? Like if a stagecoach is being held up or somebody's being beat up or whatever, am I going to stop and participate? And if I'm going to do that, am I going to do any hunting along the way? So sometimes those answers are no and no. And I just say, okay, whatever I pass by, I'm just going straight to the mission, right? So for me, it's just like when I'm in the game, my 2-hour block of time or whatever, I'm more pointed about what I'm going to engage in and what I'm not going to be bothered with, and that has helped also from a time management perspective.
I just had like straight pacing issues, and maybe this was when this thing first came out, I wasn't ready for it, right? Maybe it was a situation where I wasn't necessarily in the headspace to play a game that had such slow and unfolding storytelling. And I've seen a lot of the story unfold now in hindsight, right? And a lot of people have played it, and it looks great, and I want to get there. I've even gone as far as playing to the point where I'm like deep enough to where I'm playing poker games and all this other stuff. It's just, I feel like it's a Wild West simulator, and it never and it loses me before it winds up, right? The best part of it seems to be the worst part of it. Real quick, its coolest, most oddest feature is the ability to watch the scrotums of the horses get smaller in the winter. I mean, it's like watching paint dry.
Yeah, you're not. I mean, as much as I'm enjoying the game, I don't think you're wrong. Lucius mentions he didn't get out of the mountain. Like, one of my biggest sticks in my craw is when you are when you're leaving the winter place that you're wintered over at, going to Hollows Knot or whatever, and the wheel breaks off the stagecoach as you're crossing the river. I'm like, why? And you never do that again, as far as I know. You never, you don't need to know how to put how to put a wheel back on a stagecoach. I'm like, why am I being bothered with this? So yeah, that's and then the last game I'll mention that I'm also playing is I did start Death Stranding 2 this week.
Okay.
I only got a couple hours into it. It's a gorgeous game. It's in the same way that Death Stranding is. I feel for me the game fits and works because there are things in my specific background and history and hobbies and things that I've liked doing, and emotional experiences that I've been through that help me relate to the game. So I know that the game's not going to work for everyone, and I know that other people are going to find aspects of the game boring and blah 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 blah. But it's working for me right now. The first couple hours, I haven't been exposed to the mystery. So everything I've been exposed to is what you got exposed to in the original Death Stranding. There's no surprises. So at some point after that, I guess there's an inflection point where there's a new, this is how things are different than they were last time. So right now it's interesting because we were just talking about onboarding. It's very much kind of re-onboarding and
reminding you of what you were doing before,
right? That you did before, and the whole paradigm, because there are some hyper specific. I'm a huge lover of systems in games, right? And systems
details.
Of systems. There's systems of systems ad nauseum in Death Stranding. I'm I'm certain to a point that, you know, bothers some other people. There are things that are not necessarily intuitive, so I'm glad that they're doing the onboarding again. Like I forgot that, like, I forgot how to read the HUD to understand, you know, when you go into like the fabrication sequence before going out on a mission. I'm like, wait a minute, do I already have one of these, or is it saying that I need to fabricate one of these and then I'll have one? And then I fabricated it and I'm like, oh no, now I have two and I don't need to. So things like that. I'm kind of glad that it's going through that re-onboarding again. But all the other tapestry around it is wonderful. The art, the music is great.
Yes.
You know,
it always has been.
Yeah, and the voice acting and the characterizations. I mean, super weird, obviously, but yeah, I'm having a good time with it. I presume I will continue doing so as I proceed through it.
So here's the one question that I have, and you aren't deep enough yet, but do you believe, like I do, that Kojima has the unfortunate gift of premonition and
clairvoyance?
he has the unfortunate gift of clairvoyance, where maybe because he is a slight dissident in his own society, that he's able to analyze like where we are as people and make some of those references inside of his games to the point that like it becomes very obvious to the audience years later, right? I speak to things like Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3, where he makes specific references to like governments control the way that like people disseminate information to the public via the media, how at some point there will be an issue of too much information because of AI and all this other stuff, that it becomes difficult to differentiate that information. And then in Death Stranding, he speaks about the lack of connections of people and how the postal system, aka the delivery system, is the only thing that kind of keeps us connected, and people, and in some capacity that reflected inside of our own lives when we went into COVID and everybody was shut inside of their own homes and didn't have the exposure that they previously didn't really go outside. And a lot of the things that were in Death Stranding, once you felt them in the real world, they became almost omnipotent in some capacity, and where it's just like this is like next level kind of thinking, because I'm experiencing the same thing that he's speaking about right now. Or am I just glazing?
I appreciate the second option. Go ahead, Logic, please.
Yeah, I don't think he's a
Go ahead.
Like I don't think he's prescient like in any way like that. I mean, I think like many creators, he has an ability to or just makes an effort, right? Has a philosophy of, you know, peering deeply inside human nature and the human spirit and our interactivity, and then teasing and drawing those things out, right, in some type of literary, or in this case interactive framework. But I don't know that that's any, and so I think he's good at that, in terms of he's a good game maker or filmmaker, or at least you know, he exemplifies good elements of that, right? If you think that like in a category of 20 elements of game design, you know, he's not good at all 20. He's good at like, he's hyper good at like these 8, right? But no, I don't know that I feel like playing this game is like premonition of things that are coming down the road any more than any other like literary work or whatever. I mean, you know, the future could also all look like The Walking Dead or Sinners, right, for that matter. But
so no, and that's definitely true. I think it, but the question is at some point because in a lot of his games, and maybe he's just really good at game theory, right? Maybe he just understands human incentives well enough to be able to game out what that would look like in the future. And maybe that's what it is. But
the chat is coming for you, Lucius. They're coming for you.
He's so much in so many of his games that it becomes a little like, can you please stop accidentally telling the future, good sir?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that. I think that's what I was trying to say. Is I think he has an ability to pick at a specific nit, right? That is a dynamic either of humans, or more specifically the way in which humans interact, and then understand those dynamics within a given social ecosystem, and then therefore kind of come up with scenarios, right, with potential outcomes and plots that are therefore plausible, right, in our real world, which wind up, matriculating. So I agree with that. I mean, I think he has a, and in that nature, I don't think he's prescient. I think he's just very good at kind of understanding those things and thinking about them, because I think those are the types of things that you kind of need to sit with in a quiet space in order to formulate them. And I don't know what his whole creative process is, and I don't know how much of it is him thinking alone, and when those things kind of hit the bow wave of really congealing, right? Does that happen when he starts interacting with other people? That I don't know, but I think however it happens, that is something that he is good at.
So I guess this is going to be the Kojima block, because I too have been playing Death Stranding, but not Death Stranding 2. I've been trying to finish up Death Stranding 1, damn it. And it's been actually kind of difficult, oddly enough. So let's get the good stuff out of the way. I really think this game is unique, right? And I'm a person that I always promote systems and game design and things that are unique in this space, right? If you are really good at what you do, I will give you all the respect you deserve. Whether it's something that I can necessarily get behind or not, if it's something I can connect with, whether it be a game, my type of game or not, if you're doing what you're doing at a high level, I can see it, right? And you can definitely see, like, it's almost like at many levels, this game should not be as good as it is. And it is good, I think, right? And I specifically am talking about Death Stranding 1. I have not played Death Stranding 2 yet, because I want to wait and finish 1 before I move towards 2. So I will ask you guys, Logic, who has put a little time into 1, to give me a bit of your thoughts on it, because before we even get into that, it's a walking simulator in the best way possible. It's like right now you're listening to this podcast. Somebody could be loaded up, playing Death Stranding, delivering some things to some location somewhere, and it's seemingly monotonous, but eventually it becomes you lock in, and it becomes zen. And we were chatting with folks on the Discord that it is really an interesting concept that folks are experiencing while they're playing this game. It's euphoric, and they have the games of the music, rather, of course, is very much on point and kicks in at the very specific moment it should. It's really interesting what it's doing, right? So I respect it in to a very high degree, and I think it's doing very, very cool stuff. But at least the first one, the initial stage, this is like the epitome of, yo man, watch until season 5, because then that show gets very good. You know what I'm saying? Like it and I guess we're starting a theme here on this show, like Red Dead Redemption 2, led with the very slow pacing. Am I wrong in that?
No, it
was also very bad. Yeah,
very slow burn, and that's why it's super interesting to me experiencing the second game, right? Because like I said, I haven't been exposed, and that's what I mean by those first couple hours. I haven't been exposed to the mystery, right?
Yeah,
I am certain, right, at some point I'm gonna get exposed to, oh wait, like this is good. Right now it's kind of extending the world building that was already done, which I think is good. But because of that, there's not that slow burn impact. So it's a little bit like maybe coming back to season 2 of a show that you're really into.
Okay.
Right, where like,
so more of the same, but in a good way.
Yeah, where they're not having to reestablish like all the building blocks that they did right the first time around. And so that provides some advantage to a certain extent, right, for people getting into it. For me, you talk about like the walking simulator aspect, and I know that's a thing, and like people's take on it. So for me, and I mentioned for the second game, like there are specific things that appeal to me in the game. Even in the first one, right? I think the three major drum beats for me are one, I've spent a lot of time backpacking, right? And it was getting into backpacking was an kind of emotional evolutionary point of my life. There were some things that I did which were not necessarily the best behaviors in terms of things I did and people that I hung around. And I started backpacking as a way to forcibly isolate myself, and engage in an outdoor activity and take care of my health, and do something challenging. But concurrently, I had my dad had never taken me camping. My dad had never taken me fishing. My dad had never taken me to do outdoors. So I was processing all this stuff, right? I was processing, parental, psycho crap, like with my relationship with my father, and trying to figure out how to backpack. And I just went into it. I started reading and just went into an outfitters and just started like getting stuff. And I made plenty of mistakes. I carried the wrong gear the first time around, and and over the years, right, I became proficient at it, right? So it has that emotional appeal to me. There's a weird thing which I know a lot of people won't connect with, but I think you guys know I'm big into vehicle sims. That includes mech sims. And so in playing Mech Warrior and Heavy Metal or Heavy Gear and other things like that, there's a locomotion part of it that has always appealed to me in games. And then I think the third thing is in addition to like backpacking and other things I've done, I've also done a lot of things that, again, are me isolating myself, right? And so a lot of those background moments where you're like hiking over the land and you're completely isolated and supposedly you're in the world, right, with hundreds of thousands of people, you are lonely, right, and isolated, right, in these moments of the game. And so there are three specific things that kind of emotionally appeal to me. And I totally get, like, if you don't have those hooks, like, the game gaining traction with you is going to be slippery, right? But those are the things that, like I said, allowed me to attach myself to the game. I think this game was poorly marketed when it initially launched, the first game, because I think there was too much of the Kojima mysticism around it, and him doing a lot of the like, this is avant-garde, right? This is like, the story is so crazy that like I don't even know what I'm doing unless I'm setting table salt on a table as a big creative event, like just super weird. And I think it totally put traditional kind of conventional gamers who are closer to the mainstream kind of turn them off.
Turn them off. Absolutely. Yes.
So yeah.
Yes. After the umpteenth tar army walking down with no explanation as to what exactly this game is, people were just like, I guess this is never coming out. Kept it moving. I understand.
No, but like, okay, so I find that this game is so interesting because a lot of people can find different hooks in it for them, and for me, it was more of the idea of connectiveness, right? Sure, Sam Porter Bridges is alone during his entire travels, but the objective is to connect people together, and the gameplay also reaffirms that topic with its strand system, where if you build infrastructure inside of your world, there's a chance that it can propagate inside of other people's worlds. And if that was, a good structure, if it helps somebody out, they can give it a like. And that allows for that thing to exist longer inside of all the connected worlds, aka you playing on while connected to the internet. And I find that system is incredibly like, a lot of times we speak about things like ludo narrative dissonance inside of video games, right? Like, you're telling me that I'm doing one thing, and I'm and like, you're telling me like, for example, The Last of Us Part 2, huge example of this. You're telling me that violence is bad, and yet you are forcing me constantly to do violence inside of the game, and then giving me some of the most gruesome cutscenes while like doing that violence via like QTEs and such, right? So you want me to be like, oh man, that was crazy, right? You want me to enjoy the violence that's happening in front of me while also telling me in the story that violence is bad. It just doesn't make any sense. In this thing, it's telling you that the connectiveness of people is very important while emphasizing that inside of the gameplay. And it also speaks to like some parts of social media, because some people are putting infrastructure in just random places. And in those random places, you will just accidentally end up liking that thing. So it's literally a trap for you to like their thing. So it's also like a social media like conversation, in where people are doing things just to be able to get likes, even if it's not helpful to themselves or to society or anything like that. So like the meta narrative of this game is like next level for me.
One last question I have, and then we'll move on from Death Stranding. Seeing that you have a logic, I know you put some time into part 1. I know that you're putting some time into part 2 right now. I hear that a lot of the pacing issues and a lot of the quality of life features and all that stuff seems to have pushed itself to try. They've tried really hard to address everyone's concern. Well, a lot of people's concerns. It sounds like they combined Death Stranding and Metal Gear. Is that an accurate reading?
From the image, some of the images I've seen, I understand how people have that impression. I know that the game has more combat in it. It's interesting. I guess a fourth thing that makes the game appeal to me is, again, to talk about how it relates to things in my personal background. I have had to spend time doing land navigation, right, and nautical navigation with, just a map and a compass. So, or a GPS transponder. So, mapping out like your routes and looking over the terrain and scouting things out and kind of planning, right, how you're going to do this, and making sure you have the right amount of ladders and carabiners based on like how you've plotted your map, like all that stuff. I find as like a neat little meta. It's interesting to me. I know that the game has more combat and has more. They've invested more time in it, right? To make it not just like a side piece activity. Interestingly, in the first couple hours, every map that I've routed has been done to avoid combat. So I'm right at the point where my game save is. I'm right at the point where they've forcibly given you a mission where you're going to have to engage in combat. So I'm just kind of right at the edge of experiencing like what that's going to be like and how largely that's going to figure into the game. But so pieces of what you said, I have the impression that that's true. I don't know that it's completely bonga. Like, it wouldn't surprise me that there's like a chapter that is very Metal Gear Solid-ish, like through and through.
It's feeling that way. It's seeming that way from at least from the outset, from the images and the videos of people playing some of their gameplay. It's like they took the mysteriousness of the Death Stranding and the espionage gameplay of a Metal Gear. You were going to say, Lucius?
I was going to ask, so the kind of narrative in the first game was, hey, you don't really want to kill people because you kill them and then you don't dispose of the body properly, and like
and then it's the nuclear bomb. Yes.
Like, terrible things can happen. So like that isn't like a thing that you really want to do. So the de-emphasis of combat in the first game made sense, because you don't want to be in a situation where you accidentally, through a scuffle, kill somebody, and you don't know how far you are from like a big city, or if there's somebody living in like a small cottage somewhere, like whatever, or like some sort of underground bunker somewhere near. But like if that explosion happens, that's taking them out. So it made sense as to why they didn't really emphasize combat as much in the first game. In the second game, I would wonder how they cross that divide, because it seems that there's a lot more combat. Because Game Logic, you said you've played a couple missions now where you could have had combat and you just chose not to. You've routed yourself away from that. But if I'm a sort of player who wants to engage in that sort of thing, it seems as if by the time that I've gotten to the point where you are, where they are now forcing you to do combat, which may be the real combat tutorial, who knows, But at this time, I would have had 3 or 4 opportunities to have combat and potentially, quote unquote, kill somebody. So I wonder how they're going to weave that into the narrative. Like, are those void outs or what? I don't remember what they call them in the first game, but are those things no longer occurring?
Oh, we're not sure about that. Logic, do you know?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Lucius, are you saying are there the same kind of combat set pieces?
No. I think what he's meaning is in the lore and slight spoilers for Death Stranding for those who haven't played it at all. In the lore for Death Stranding, bodies that are not disposed of in an appropriate way become basically nuclear bombs that explode and take out a lot of people with them, and all this. It becomes a huge crater, right? And it brings about, all those weird monsters and stuff, right? So because that is the lore within the Death Stranding, the idea of avoiding combat at all costs is definitely a valid one, and that's why you can kind of avoid combat. But if there's a lot more combat in the world now, because people also complained about pacing and people also complained about gameplay and all that, so now they want to address that. How do they address that in the world without it becoming without it becoming nuclear bombs blowing up everywhere every time anybody dies? Because there's a lot of combat now,
Yeah, so I'll say firmly, I don't know, and when I say firmly, not to mean that I've seen no evidence of it. So
you haven't gotten to that point yet.
Well, but I've seen breadcrumb. I've seen things that have caused me to ask questions.
Okay.
So in the first couple hours, in the first couple hours, there's a thing that happens where I'm unsure. I'm just unsure if I've seen a real. Try not to do any spoilers. I'm unsure of how concrete the thing is that I've seen, and I'm unsure if the thing that I've seen means that there's been a change in some of that lore.
Okay.
And so until I get a chance to engage and then the end result of that is I don't know how corpse disposal is going to figure into this game and whether or not it's been changed. And so right, they could have done an inflection point where they just make that not a piece of administrivia that you have to deal with, right? So I just don't know. I should find out this weekend after I go through this next mission, I would assume.
Yeah, let's put a pin in that one, and you can report back, because I would like to know that. That'd be interesting. Yes.
I know at some point I'm not going to be able to avoid any spoilers about Death Stranding because I'm not going to play it until it comes out on PC, and that's a long time from now. So
yeah.
I've already given up on the idea of avoiding spoilers for
being unsullied.
Yeah, it's not going to be possible.
Understood. Okay, so I will quickly talk to y'all about some of the games I've been playing. Not too many, and then we'll get to a couple of stories because we're trying to keep it concise this week. So first and foremost, it's weird. I've played this for a while. It's kind of my guilty pleasure. Every once in a while, I'll be just playing it, and then hours will just fly by. It's leaving Game Pass, so something just told me to play it, and I already own a copy of it in another store. But it was leaving Game Pass, so it kind of entered my zeitgeist and entered on my radar as a game that's leaving Game Pass. So I was like, hey, I'll give it a shot. And what game am I talking about? I'm talking about the one and only Journey to the Savage Planet. I don't know if you guys have played any of these games. I don't know if you've heard of this before. Journey to the Savage Planet. I would call it the OG, hilarious shooter in the modern era these days. Because is this before or after? I always forget the name of that other one with the guns that talk to you. High on Life. Yeah. I think this was before High on Life, because
I think this was slightly before High on Life.
Yeah.
And then
because this was incubated under Google Stadia initially.
Yes, and then this also had a sequel, which is Revenge. Right.
That's right. Yes. But it is more fun than you'd think, man. It's goofy. It's got lots of freaking ridiculous jokes and stuff. It's very beautiful, in its presentation in the world. Now I'm showing gameplay. That's of course I picked the wrong slide. Forgive me, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. So it's like the world is just quite beautiful and just presents such a wonderful picture, and it can get challenging. It's I don't know. I've always enjoyed playing this game, and yeah, some of the
side
some of
tangent
the
of this game.
uh-huh. Go ahead.
The only thing that I really remember about this game, and this is kind of how like a media narrative can kind of ruin video game. The only thing that I remember about this game, conversation wise, is how people complained about like oh well, this thing is like a representation of like colonialism and X, Y, and Z, and it's just like, can we just give the game a chance?
The whole thing is a tongue-in-cheek, very satirical, goofy. Like it's meant to be ridiculous. Like, it has that. It has that. What's the other one? The Outer Worlds. You know, the Outer Worlds. The way that the tongue-in-cheek marketing. It's exactly like that.
It seemed as if like a bunch of journalists got that impression immediately, and they were trashed on this game, and that kind of just became the conversation for like months. Like,
that's unfortunate.
I never checked out this game, not because of anything that they said, but just the energy around this game was just so negative that it just pushed me away. And I think that did a disservice to this game, obviously.
Yep. I agree. The game is pretty dang fun. Like it's not treading on any new ground. Like it's not breaking new ground. Rather, it's basically what you know, right? It's got a pretty decent combat system. As you see, it's got a scanning system, right? You're in a new world. You're there discovering new things, getting weird missions, you know, and there are weird monsters and stuff that you deal with as well. Some of these monsters, they're just hilarious because some of them are just there to yell. There's like a monster there that's just there, and all they do is scream like what do you call it? A horror movie when a woman's getting like a slasher flick when a woman's getting chased. As soon as they see you with a gun, that's how they run past you. And you hear it when you get to the right field, and there's like 18 of them. All you do is hear just like, rah, rah, like they're just cacophonous yelling everywhere. It's hilarious. The game is very funny. It's very, very. I know it may sound insulting or less than, but I don't mean it to sound this way. It's a very cromulent game. You know, it's a decent package. It's very funny. And more often than not, they're giving it either for free or it's in some kind of discount or whatever. So I've been playing it for some time, and it's leaving Game Pass now. This thing right here on the screen. This is a vegetable, right, that eats one of those animals. So you have to lure one of the animals into. Oh well, this is a different way of doing it. That's interesting. Oh well, it didn't work. You have to lure the animals in, the little one-eyed bugs in, so that it can chew on the one-eyed bug. When it's satisfied, then it opens the door. It's very like malicious in certain intents. It's kind of deliciously funny and evil sometimes. It's very funny. It's very funny. People should check it out. Anyway, so there's that. So I've been playing that a little bit. Because it's leaving Game Pass, and I had I found other copies of the game and stuff like that. And of course, I will mention that I'm also continuing to play the Altars, because yes, the Altars is fun. I'm still a little bit the thing I complained about it last week. I'm still complaining a bit about it now, which is that I wish it was a bit more random in its pursuits. Meaning, you know, it would make the water cooler conversation a bit more interesting if the things that were happen to you on your journey were randomized, right? But it seems more and more like it's very much I wouldn't say paint by numbers, but it's a linear story. So things that have happened to others will happen to you. So you can kind of get pointers as to how to avoid stuff happening to you based on what has happened to others, which I think is a little bit unfortunate, but still, it's still very fun. There's crazy permadeath stuff happening left and right. It's kind of hilarious. It's good. But expect a GCP review soon enough. Who knows? Hey, we shall see. For those who know. Anyway, all right. Before we get into the rest of the stuff, and I will we'll kick into some gaming talk and whatnot. Let me pause a moment and once again thank all the great folks that are here. All the folks that continue to rock with us every week. We appreciate y'all. The great Soil Tech, who's a mod in our Discord and here on the YouTube channel. He's here with a $2 super chat, and he says, please share and subscribe. Thank you. I appreciate you. hit the like button if you haven't done so already. I don't say that enough. I'm a bad host. Forgive me. I should be telling y'all, I should beating y'all over the head with hitting of the like button as much as possible. But please, I appreciate you all hitting the like button. I should also note, and this is something that I had not announced, but I should announce. For all those who are leaving in super chats and all those things, I really, really appreciate it, because I will announce now that I'll be going to Gamescom 2025. I just got my access, got aware and got to know all of that stuff as recently as a day or two ago. So it is now official. I will be going to Gamescom 2025. So this is me flying all over the place and doing all that stuff. So yes, you'll be seeing hopefully great content from GCP on the floor in Germany, in Cologne, Germany. So all the super chats and all the ways you guys support us really helps to defray all those costs, because ain't nobody paying first class for a brother to fly out there. So we're doing that solo as we do, but we're gonna continue to do that. So thank you guys for all your continued support.
I need you to play. I need you to play Pragmata when you go. It is supposedly going to be available for hands-on out there. So.
I will put it on the list, sir. I will put it on the list 100%. I am now in appointment mode. I'm now in who can I get appointment with? I'm already like working those angles. So yes, I will definitely put Pragmata on the list. Thank you, sir. And yes, I was actually planning on looking into it anyway, because I found a few times that their showings was interesting. I want to see more in that realm. So I appreciate that. So okay, another thing we're gonna do, because we said we'd do that, is let's get to one of the giveaways. How about Lucius? How about we do one of yours first? What game do you want to do? Lucius Augustus, if you're there, yes.
Yeah. Let me just double check.
Just pick one game. Just one game. It doesn't matter. Give me a title.
Well, since we were talking about this, Death Stranding Director's Cut.
All right. Hold on. DSDC. All right. Ready? Ladies and gentlemen, I need the hashtag DSDC in the chat. If you want a copy of Death Stranding Director's Cut, I need hashtag DSDC in the chat, just like this. And if you do so, right there, DSDC, if you do so, you'll be entered into the raffle, and whoever wins will get a copy of Death Stranding Director's Cut. We'll hold that in the next few minutes. So let that DSDC fly in the chat, and hopefully somebody will win that code. All right. And after that, we have a couple more. So we'll keep it moving. So let's get into some of the stories, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get into some of the stories, because I feel like we don't want to let the time get away from us. And there's some interesting, I guess, I don't know if we call it interesting things going on. The big hot button. There's good news, I guess, and bad news. Which one do we want to deal with first? The good news or the bad news? Logic, you are our guest here, so I'll let you choose. Where are we going? We're going with the good news or the bad news? Where are we going?
Yeah, let's do the bad news so we can end it on.
Let's do the bad news. Okay. We're doing with the bad news. All right. So it looks like, and obviously we've heard rumor and speculation for a while now, that there's a lot, there's a looming layoffs coming to the gaming industry, specifically Microsoft, right? And of course, when they do something, it looms large because they own a lot of gaming property at this point. They own a lot of gaming real estate at this point. So when they have something happening, it becomes big news. And more, it's pointing rather in a very worrying direction. Now, this article here seems to have this conversation with the audience that's telling Microsoft to be very careful, because if they're not, it may very well be a situation that they will find themselves with a PR situation that the EA used to find themselves. If you guys recall, back in the day, EA was known as like the worst company in America, even behind like companies that were making weapons of mass destruction and things like that. Somehow the American public all thought EA was the worst public company on earth. It was a weird time. But this article seems to suggest that Microsoft, with some of its moves, is heading in that direction. Now, where is it pointing to directly? It seems rumor and speculation is that it's pointing to Turn 10 Studios. It's pointing to Stoic, which Stoic is an odd one that I saw added here, because they are contracted to work with Microsoft on the game. What do you call it? Towerborn. This is the makers of the Banner Saga, but they're not a studio that's owned by Microsoft in any way. So maybe what is it the fact that Towerborn may not be hitting the zeitgeist movement that they expected, and as such they're scaling back or something like that? I'm not exactly sure. Game Logic, what do you think, sir?
As far as why something Microsoft did would impact the Towerborn guys?
Well, no, yeah. Well, more than rather the Towerborn guys, and just the idea that there's more restructuring happening, and that it may fall to our beloved Turn 10, which has been historically a zeitgeist, a pillar, a studio of the Xbox brand, and now it looks like they may be very, very much impacted by a lot of these layoffs. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I'll talk mainly about the Turn 10 thing. We started this with me talking about how I'm going back and revisiting Forza Motorsport 6, right? So the Forza series has been a very big part of my life and time as a gamer. Again, I'm a big vehicle sim fan. I've been along on the ride, no pun intended, Forza Motorsport and Forza Horizon since nearly its inception. I don't think I played the very first Forza Motorsport, or the first Forza Horizon, but I've been around since number 2 of each of those series. Of all of the studio closures, and I'm not saying this to sound like I'm just not like a super emotional person. Like, I've processed those things analytically, and I've felt badly for each of those. But studio closures that have occurred to this point, I haven't been particularly like emotionally attached to, outside of Monolith. When Warner Brothers shut down Monolith, and because one of my favorite games of all time is No One Lives Forever and No One Lives Forever 2.
Oh, you are a man of culture, sir. You're a man of taste. Fantastic. Those are great games. Yes.
Yeah, and I'm a huge fan of the Fear series as well. And then like all the all the games, which weren't super popular games, but all the games that were powered by Lithtech. Monolith just figures very prominently in my mind and background and experience as a studio that was important to me. And it's I felt something right when that studio was shut down. If this rumor is true that it's impacting Turn 10, that would then be the second one that I like feel something about. I've been very attentive and very detail oriented and very versed in the whole like release cadence and the relationship between Turn 10 and Playground, and my love in diving into the depths of Forza Motorsport and Forza Horizon. I guess part of the rumor is that there's going to be some shifting of the baton over to Playground Studios, and it still causes me like worry. But I will say, there are 2 places that in my head I associate as the homes of speed. The first of which is Italy. The close second to that is Britain. So I talk about some of those classic tracks that I love racing on in various games, and definitely at the tops of those lists are Silverstone, Brands Hatch, Donington, and so it doesn't strike me as unquestionably destructive, right? If the headquarters, if the home of the series shifts to Playground Studios in Britain, how all the studio machinations and all that stuff will work out, I don't have complete clarity on what that's going to look like. And obviously the physics modeling, right, was done at Turn 10 because that's where the engine was built. And then each time they iterated on the engine, then they would hand that off to Playground, and Playground would then take it and go do Forza Horizon. So I don't know how that whole dynamic's going to work, but but the notion of Turn 10 shutting down is a punch in the stomach. And what I pray it doesn't mean that we've played the last Forza Motorsport. And to be quite honest, so there's a parallel if you look at Codemasters, which is one of my top 5 favorite studios of all time, alongside Monolith. Codemasters has been doing what most people know as Dirt, I will refer to as the Colin McRae series. They've been doing that since the early 2000s. And for most of the life of the Dirt series, there was a TikTok. And so you would get a Dirt that was highly oriented towards the sim crowd. And then you would get a Dirt that was oriented more towards the casual crowd. And you would get a lot of like the stunting and the Ken, I can't remember the guy's last name, But you would get a lot of these WRC guys that were more into like the stunt circuit, right? And you would see fan reactions, right, to people who didn't care for the sim one because I was more hardcore, and then the sim heads who didn't appeal, right? So there's similarities there between but in the Forza thing. What's going on at Codemasters now, who's now under EA ownership, is first of all they got a hold of the WRC license and they tried to, and they did an iteration of Dirt, really, right? But they called it EA WRC. They tried to move to the Unreal Engine. That game was not met with great critical response, not met with great Steam community response either. Now they have released the WRC license, and so they're not doing a WRC game. But where there's a lack of clarity is I don't know that they're doing another rally game or where that is in their pipeline. They're definitely continuing to do the F1 series, but like right now, me as a big driving simulation fan, I'm sitting in the space where I don't know when Codemasters is going to do another rally game or if they are. I think this move, if it goes down, right, could cast that same type of doubt where like I as a big sim fan, I don't know if I'm getting a Forza Motorsport next or a Forza Horizon next or anything, right? Because Playground's priority obviously is Fable. Of course they have multiple teams. How that all is going to work out is the thing that I don't know, because obviously one of their big creative directors left, and then in kind of a Jerry Maguire move took a lot of the talent along with him, right? With him to start a new independent studio. So I just don't know where all of these things land. I know we're supposed to be getting a Forza next year. Again, if this move happens, like who's doing that? Like, how is that coming together? Is it another iteration of Forza Horizon built on the old engine? In a new location in the world, could definitely be interesting. I just don't know.
Yeah. So before we continue, and we're going to continue down the line with the same question, with the same story, winner of Death Stranding Director's Cut on Steam, ladies and gentlemen, JD4391, winner of Death Stranding Director's Cut. JD, congratulations. Please reach out to me in the DMs, whichever DMs they may be, wherever you may find me. That could be Twitter, that could be Blue Sky, that could be Discord. Find me and we'll get you access to Death Stranding's Director's Cut. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for being here and being a valued member of our community. Thank you so much. We'll do another one in a minute. So, how about you, Mr. Lucius Augustus, sir? This is seeming like a repeatable thing, a recording that just keeps playing over and over again. And yes, it's Microsoft this time, but it's not just Microsoft. It's a bunch of people, and it keeps happening. And I for one refuse to let it completely slip under the rug every time they do so. It looks like we're having a bunch of layoffs. Lots of concern in our community. Lots of concern in the gaming writ large. What are your thoughts, sir?
I think that Microsoft should not do any more acquisitions because this doesn't give me faith in Microsoft as a conglomerate, as a giant corporation. And this has nothing necessarily to do with Xbox, because when Amy Hood and Satya Nadella say, hey, we're cutting 5% across the board, you don't get to say no to that. You don't get to say, hey, these people are doing X, Y, and Z. So I get that. I think part of the smoke clearly needs to go to Microsoft, and I just don't. It doesn't really give me confidence that they continue to have these layoffs every single quarter. It doesn't give me very much confidence at all. But what I will say regarding Turn 10 is, listen, your last product was kind of bad, right? A lot of people who are huge Forza Motorsport fans were not a fan of the most recent Forza Motorsport. They felt like they were getting a piecemeal version of what they were used to. because they only got like one sort of mode. They didn't get the other modes that some people really enjoy. There's also a limit on like how many tracks that there was at launch, and they really tried to turn it more into a service game. And Microsoft was kind of in that mentality at the time to try to turn all of its things into service games. We saw that with Halo Infinite. We saw that with Forza Motorsport. I just don't think that it was very much a good idea, considering the group of people who are kind of the hardcore base of that thing. And I also think that, like, you know, developing Forza Motorsport for the Xbox One, which did end up happening for like a short period of time there, really wasted a lot of their time and limited the scope of what this game could be. So disappointing in a lot of ways. I don't want to be
clear though. We don't know for sure that anything's getting closed. It just, the tea leaves are seeming to sound like that's what's happening.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Like a lot of cuts are happening.
Honestly, I don't think it will be closed. I think that there'll just be, you know, significant layoffs that may lead to the Turn 10 slimming down, because I don't think it would be a very good idea to shutter Turn 10 completely, because they are the ones who build the fundamental structure that is all of Forza Tech, right?
See, I get that. And let me throw a goofy theory at you for a moment.
Fable runs off of Forza Tech. Forza Horizon,
I get that,
runs off of Forza.
Yes, Tech. But see, here's the thing. I get that, but here's where my tinfoil goofy theory comes into play, and it's unfortunate and it's a little cold-blooded, but hear me on this, right? They have done this wonderful thing where they've been able to have Forza Tech created by Turn 10, right? They also create Forza Motorsport itself, right? And then in an almost Google Android to Samsung Galaxy move, you give it to Turn 10. They arcadeize the structure of the game and give you a Forza Horizon, right? It seems that over the generations, they have been able to create this wonderful optimized kind of system where you build it and they optimize it, and you build it and they optimize it. But in that convening years, the excitement level has switched from Turn 10's Motorsport, which was the reference design, the thing that you showed off the console with, to now all the excitement, it's in Forza Horizon. Everywhere Forza Horizon is, it's killing, it's making numbers, right? Last year, how many did it reach? It reached ridiculous numbers. So now I think if you are a financially minded organization and you're trying to cut corners as much as possible, you trim the fat on all angles that you can, and then you consolidate one with the other. So the ones that make the beautiful game that everybody wants still happens, and they also get the essential personnel for keeping that engine optimized and moving.
So
that way, less overhead on both fronts. What do you think, Logic? You were saying yes.
So one question I have is, and I mean that's fine from a business perspective, from a gameplay perspective. So if you know, if you've played like the Forza Motorsport games and the Forza Horizon games and played them concurrently, right, back to back, and been in that world, you know that that physics engine is loosened up, so to speak, when it goes to Horizon, right? It is much more detailed and demanding in the Motorsport package.
In the Motorsport package, yes.
Right.
Yes.
And the street racing is feels significantly different, right? Like, when I was playing Forza Motorsport 6, I played for a little bit with a standard Xbox Series controller, and after like flubbing like half a race, I was like, F this, let me go get my Elite controller. Right? Because it demands that of you. So I guess one concern I would have would be that being squeegeed out of the Forza overall formula, right? And no longer having access to that more granular demanding physics model.
Those of you that are very much about the simulation aspects of it may have a valid concern, because it sounds like if that happens, and obviously it's all theory craft right now, that's what would suffer, because the popularity of motorsport Horizon is kind of overshadowing things.
Yeah, and then from a development perspective, what does that look like, right?
Yeah.
If I build this more granular, hyper-specific physics engine for a particular product, but then I say I don't need that product anymore, why do I need to build that demanding physics engine, right? Then what does it look like for that dev team to be making a more casual physics engine? At some point, it seems like there's some overlap and redundancy between people working on physics stuff between Turn 10 and Playground. And if you're taking that financial view, then do you keep both?
This is the thing. This is why my tinfoil kufi theory involves consolidation, even though that has not really been in the news. It's just smart business to consolidate at that point. You don't keep both because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make financial sense. I do agree, though, that getting rid of that name, that IP, that it would be a killer to your PR. And I also agree in the chat to the person that was saying that one miss should not equal, not a second chance. They're a storied franchise, a storied a studio, and a pillar of the Xbox brand. They should be allowed to stand and continue to live. I agree. But in the world we live now, where it's all about that trying to find where you can cut the corners without cutting too deep and still be able to satiate your business needs, it seems like two studios focused on the relative same IP sector is probably not a smart one, because one studio with multiple teams can still produce those same things. Now, to your point, Logic, that will lead to seemingly some sacrifices, either in the motorsport side or in the Horizon side. And of course, they're keeping Horizon more than they are for motorsport, seemingly, by these rumors. So I suspect that suffering will come, or the sacrifices rather, will come from the simulation side, which is quite unfortunate. I agree there wholeheartedly. So yeah, there's that. There's that. All right, so let's do another one. Let's do another one of these things. So we had a couple games. I dug into the crates for Lucius's one. Now we'll dig into the crates for the one that the great Mordivore put into our laps here. Morty wants to hand out what do you call it? Warhammer 40K bolt gun, a great boomer shooter if you haven't tried it. Really, really fun, and it actually gives you some great lore for some of the later stories in the Warhammer franchise. So very much worth playing if you haven't played it already. And this is the Steam code. And in order to win it, all I need you to do is go into that chat, the comment section there, and type in hashtag bolt gun, all capitals, real easy to do, hashtag bolt gun, and whichever one gets it will be the one that will get the code. Hashtag bolt gun. We will see the names populate here, and we'll pick a random winner as soon as we can. So there's that. All right, let's move on to the next story here. Now, I thought this one was really, really slanderous, and it is. Let's be clear. It is what it is. It's mad slanderous, okay? But it's a funny one. I thought I'd bring it to the forefront. Well, I don't know about how funny it really is. It's just kind of like the nature of the beast kind of stuff. I remember what your comment was when I shared with you with this story that I wanted to discuss, Game Logic. So I'll let you be the first to take a crack at this. And this is just a game file with Stephen Totillo game file article where they're showing the medium income of the average EA employee going down, while the CEO, Andrew Wilson, in this case, his compensation going through the roof to seemingly alarming degrees. I don't necessarily think this is a thing specifically, that a noose I would hang specifically around Andrew Wilson's neck. I think this is part and parcel of the industry. But you being executive yourself, I will let you take first crack at this, sir. What are your thoughts? I don't know if you had a chance to read it.
Yeah, I'm aware of the topic. So I think the first thing to say is, and you know me, like I don't I don't have an ability to come on a podcast and be hypocritical and be like a completely different person than I am in real life. So I'm not going to sit here and say that I have a problem with executives getting bonuses, right?
There you go.
That would just be a lie, right? I don't. I would also not sit here and say that, you know, I'm a champion for people being well compensated, but like I'm also not going to sit here and say that I'm some altruist who turns in their bonus at the end of every year and says, give this to the employees, right? Again, that would also be a lie and disingenuous. I personally think that for a CEO perspective, the best structures that I've seen is when the CEO takes some stipend, right? Some amount of income that is analogous to, you know, a director or a lower level paid employee, right? That is not C-suiteified, right? And then says, and then the rest of what you pay me is in stock options, because then it's linearly and directly tied to how well I'm running the business.
Sure,
and I think that's all I can say. But I think outside of that, it gets like super complicated on what your personal philosophy is on some of this stuff. I don't like, should there be a linear tie to like the floating, like dampening, compensating, oscillating wave of like your aggregate employee body average income versus your CEO? I don't know that would work because different skill sets get paid differently, right? There are low rate of pay skill sets, labor categories whose salaries don't go up, right, as acutely as other people's do. And then so where do you put that balancing line? Like I don't like I often, you know, balance financial matters and look at things, and I do like this thing called blended rates, right? But like if I blend a rate with like a super high paid labor category with a super low paid labor category, right, then that radically shifts the optics on that financial calculation, right? So I don't know what the right answer is for stuff like that. Like I said, I think the firmest square I would put on is, you know, tie the bulk of their income to stock options and how much they improve the stock.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree. Sir Lucius, I know you don't have prior historical reference points of this story. It's basically a TLDR, CEO getting a lot of money.
Yeah.
Medium income of a worker, not so much. It's dropping compared to the last comparative check.
Yeah.
Versus the CEO's last comparative check, it's even higher than it was last. You know the story. They're just this time it's Andrew Wilson. It could be anyone else at this point. What are your thoughts, sir?
So what I will say is this is kind of happening everywhere. This is not a problem specifically with EA. It's not a problem specifically with the gaming industry. I think we can speak like this is a very difficult topic because it kind of speaks to like where our society is right now. And what I will say is America and a lot of when you can tell personally for me when a country is doing well, when like the middle class is doing well, and historically when there is a significant amount of wealth disparity, at some point it is self-correcting, but the way that it is self-correcting is may not be the way that people want. Right? Like the past, it's been things like guillotines, wars, rebellions, Luigi Mangionis. I don't know if people want that, right? So
true.
This is more of like a larger discussion than just
this is the canary in the coal mine is what you're saying. We need to be
so it's just like it is what it is, but you know, I hope that the people who are living the good life right now, that they have guillotine proof necks, because historically it doesn't work out well.
Let them eat cake and all that. I understand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So one note I'll add to that. I'm glad Lucius brought that up. Talk about like the revolutionary, like self-correcting, right, of the ecosystem, of the social ecosystem based on these topics. I would suggest people listen to last week's episode of This Week in Tech, If you're familiar with the network that's hosted by Leo Laporte.
Leo Laporte, the great Leo Laporte, absolutely. Yeah.
Jason Calacanis was on, who is a former journalist, now investor capitalist in startups, very heavily engaged in AI. Father Robert Balaser was also on, who used to be the host of This Week in Enterprise Tech. Father Robert got moved by the Catholic Church to the Vatican a few years ago, and is heavily engaged because the current Pope is heavily is very focused on AI and the social disruption that it could cause, both in the church and in the society of man. And so there's a very robust discussion on that particular thing of like, if and when and what happens when AI tips the apple cart, in terms of rebalancing, right? In like lengthy discussion about universal income and things like that, and like what happens when AI tips the apple cart and you start teetering towards revolution, and seeing evidence of that now, because apparently like in the LA riots, they went after Waymo cars, and one of the reasons they went after Waymo cars, like there's a thought that they went after Waymo cars because there's a big negative sentiment towards big tech, which I think is absolutely true. But more acutely and more specifically, they went after Waymo cars because Waymo cars were being used to share information with the LAPD. So it's a really good conversation that kind of tiptoes, on the edges of this when you talk about wealth imbalance, like Lucius mentioned. That I think it would be interesting if people want to go
game logic. You are sparking so many things inside of my mind. Let's just take a small tangent to go on the real tangent right now, because if you have Apple TV or you have other services that allow you to be able to watch things as you want to watch them, there is this movie called Mountainhead that is simultaneously the creepiest thing I've ever seen in my entire life, and just such a good reflection of like big tech and like where they think. So just to give a small synopsis of the beginning of the movie, there's a bunch of these different billionaires who go to this cabin in the mountains to like express. It's essentially like a man version of like a vision board, right? Like they go to talk about like what their visions are of the future, like what they want of themselves, that sort of thing. These guys are really rich. All of them tech heads. All of them have like huge control over some aspect of society. And one of these guys releases a incredibly powerful AI, something that is incredibly hard to distinguish between what is real life and what isn't. And suddenly putting this in the hands of everyone in the public is causing mass riots, governments falling apart, X, Y, and Z, just things just going nuts. And rather than these guys just like thinking about the social responsibility aspect of it, they immediately lean in. And it reminds me of like Naomi Klein's book, The Shock Doctrine, and where like people take advantage of like tragedy and to be able to like ingratiate themselves and enrich themselves. These guys in this situation, rather than thinking like, oh, how do we like fix this? How do we roll this back? They lean in and like, we're going to try to take over the world. We're going to like turn off like electricity for people, causing mass riots. Like they lean in. And I don't know how far away people like Elon Musk and all of those dudes are from this depiction inside of the movie. I highly suggest that you watch it, because it sounds interesting. It's a very interesting movie, and it has a couple twists, and I think it's very.
And the reason why I think it's something I'll definitely put on my list. If you look at the cover art here, it literally says Mountainhead, humanity in the palm of their hands, and their hands basically have nothing but cell phones. It does speak to something interesting. We will watch that one. All right, that's cool. That is very cool. All right, so before we continue, and we'll head to the big story we want to talk about here. Before we get there, though, another winner of Warhammer 40K Bolt Gun Melend, and that is at MMELEND. Congratulations, sir or ma'am. Let me know. Find me. I'm in the Discord streets. I'm in the Twitter streets. I'm in wherever you can find me. Find me on in the DMs, and I will hand you your code for Bolt Gun. And that's a darn good game too. So congratulations. And we're gonna do another one of these in a few minutes. Shout out to everybody who wants to continue to play with us, and and enjoy the time with us this morning. Thank you so much for being here. A quick super chat from Relis 5723 with final super chat. He says, "Can't they just put them both in the same game, different modes, Horizon and Motorsport?" Sir, I think that is what we were talking about, right? But it seems like if you don't have two separate actual studios at their highest clip doing it, the fear is that won't some aspect be lost, right? Will there be some sacrifices? What were you saying, Lucius?
It's also a completely different vibe when you've played a motorsport game and then you've played a Horizon game. It's like they are injecting you with as much adrenaline as possible. They are like you're going from driving inside of the jungle to the car that you are driving being dropped off from like an airplane, and like you're dodging people who are on motorcycles doing flips. It's just a different vibe, bro. Like I don't see how they could successfully put it into one experience. I just don't see it.
And as an avid gamer of the simulation side of the house, Game Logic, how would you feel with more of Horizon in your motorsport?
Yeah, I mean, I would be fine with that. It's not an implausible formula, right? From just a game content perspective. I guess what I would question as a gamer, am I gonna get enough content of one of the, like, if I don't care about the casual stuff, like, and what I really want is I want the sim stuff. Am I going to get enough cars and tracks and, and like, is the progression model going to be ubiquitous across the two? Because they are radically different, right? Between Forza Horizon and Forza Motorsport. We've had these inflections and iterations where, like, in Forza Motorsport 6, like the upgrade paradigm isn't exactly the same. In Forza Horizon, there's a little bit more of a wrench and a crowbar that forces you to spend more time in Forza Vista, which is good, right, from a design perspective. But it doesn't work exactly the same, right, in Motorsport. So those would be the types of challenges I think that you would have to level things out for the consumer and for me to be comfortable, playing the game. And then how much. I mean, at face value, that suggestion is taking two games, right, and mushing them into one, that have ostensibly been $60, $70 games, right? So what is that going to look like from a cost perspective? I don't know. If they can make it work, great. Like, I wouldn't be opposed to it, just as long as I get enough of the content that I want.
And I also see folks in the chat saying that it's also a financial factor. Why would they do that when they can earn two SKUs? This would basically be taking money out of their own pocket by consolidating the games. They can consolidate the studios, but probably not consolidating the games, because that would, even if it's good, it would take money away from them, because now there's not two SKUs to buy. It was only one. So
I just don't think that it's a good idea to consolidate the studios. It's like these things will have two very different types of vision, and I just don't know if putting that under
one umbrella.
We'll have like the technical aspect of it, of just like the engineering and stuff for I just don't know if that's a good idea.
I think it's a risk, a big risk, but it's a business reality. Yeah, it's a big risk.
I don't think it's a smart idea. I think this is me giving Microsoft some level of benefit of the doubt.
Okay.
I think that what we might see is just a maybe significant chunk of turn 10, gets let go. But enough of it still stays, like the engineering team still stays for all of that, and they just work. Their job essentially now is just to get the current version as good as it possibly can be and like bring people back, and I think that that's where they'll put them, right? And where it's just like, this is going to be you in survival mode, right?
I hope that none of this is accurate. I hope that they all turn out to be completely inaccurate and it was all false.
I hope all of this is false, but like I'm looking at the reality of the situation, and Microsoft as a whole are just in this mood to cut because they believe that their AI vision is going to actually work out, and they've said it at this point that they are now firing people because AI is allowing them to be able to do that much work. And I just don't think that that's going to work out well for them, in the same way that like corporations overhired during COVID because their projections showed them X, Y, and Z. I think the same thing is happening right now, but just obviously in reverse. Their projections of the benefit of AI is
overinflated
to say the least. Yes.
Yep. They will learn and they will have to come back. Go ahead, Logic. Yeah.
So one comment I want to make, I just want to make sure people aren't like, the chat's not construing my question as me saying London Bridge is falling down, right? I'm not saying that. There's multiple formulas and ways to go about this, right? They could, just like TK said, the telemetry may just show that there's not as much interest in the sim style racing game, right? And so what is more prudent for them is to feed the demands of the people who are looking for the more casual thing. That's fine. There's a way that you could go about this and achieve both things. You could, as you mentioned, Lucius, you could strip the Turn 10 team down to the physics modeler people, keep the playground people who, basically do everything on top of that physics engine, put those two teams together, and you could just simply slow down the release cadence, right? The point of my question was not about like what is the right calculus by which they go about this. That's up for them to decide. My point was, as a gamer, my point is I don't know, and my expectation I don't have my expectation set. And I'm a person who looks for what is going to be in my racing game portfolio and outlook, right, for the next year or two. Those are things I'm interested in. Like I pay attention to what Codemasters is doing. I pay attention to what the Assetto Competizione guys are doing. I used to pay attention to the guys who were the Project Cars people, who I think have been absorbed by Codemasters. But the point is, these are things that I'm interested in, and I look for previews on, and I'm just curious to know what the answer is, and I'm sure those answers will eventually be forthcoming.
Yeah. Okay, so the great JD Gamer with a $10 super chat joining us. Thank you, JD. He says, the issue is that employees are considered a human resource, a la labor, and not a stakeholder in the companies. You tied a company's rating as a sizable factor of executive pay, we would see less disparity. Yeah, that is the unfortunate factor of the equation, right? You'd see less disparity if they were all stakeholders, but if they were all stakeholders, then it would also change the dynamic of the business model greatly. We were actually having a frank conversation about what do you call it? Steam and their business, Valve rather, and their business model. What is it? At last toll, there are like 350 people that work there. And because of that, the pay disparity is completely different. There is but there is that disparity window is a completely different analysis than you would see in a standard company.
Yeah, like if you are a Steam employee, one, you've probably been working there for like 10 plus years because they don't hire too often. But two, you are probably paid very, very well. Like your standard salary is probably okay, but like the bonuses that you get because you are inherently a stakeholder inside of that business is probably insane.
There's no managerial structure at Valve, which is very strange. So there's a lot of unique things you can do when you're in that stakeholder model.
Have strike teams where it's just like, if you have a good idea and you want to like push it, cool, but if it goes nowhere, then that's going to affect your bonus. Which whoever the team was that like were underneath Gabe
Mhm.
that like worked on the Steam Deck, man, they must be rolling in it right now.
Yeah.
And they pick
So
their own assignments too, project wise.
exactly. JD comes with a very interesting question and a $20 super chat. Thank you so much for your contribution. Again, all of this helps to defray the costs of us going to Gamescom and the like. So thank you so much for any contributions you guys want to levy. He comes with a question. Why would anyone with limited resources choose to buy a PlayStation next gen over an Xbox when Xbox is building the one box to rule them all? The box that will have access to the most games and stores PC access with console ease. Interesting question. I will ask Mr. Logic to take the first crack at it, sir. What do you think?
Well, I mean, the first response is I can't answer that because I don't have limited resources. So I don't have that perspective. I'll just go buy whatever I go buy. I mean, my question back to JD
isn't that somewhat of a flex? I'm sorry.
No, it's not a flex. I mean, it's for me to point out the difference in perspective, right? I totally get that there are people who have to make choices. And this is why a lot of times, unless somebody's coming to me asking me a question, like giving me a set of requirements, saying, this is what I want, what is the best thing for me, I can't answer like an open-ended, like, why would a person do X or why would a person do Y? Right.
Understood. Yes.
My question back to JD is, why did anybody with limited resources not buy the Series S?
Good question. Good question.
I mean, and then I guess the second bolt onto that question, just to help him refine it, is I think around that question, you have to make an assumption on how much that Xbox is going to be, the one box to rule them all, to assess whether or not it will be a reasonable target for anybody with the limited reassources set. So, I don't have an answer for him. I have more questions to him to help
more
him
questions. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Up to be something that can reasonably be answered.
How about you, Koofy Cat? Lucius, your thoughts?
I would say that the one reason that Xbox players say all the time is know their library. We have to acknowledge that people's library is going to be a pivotal part of like the future of, I mean, when you have Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo also doing proper backwards compatibility, that's crazy. Like, I think that the consumer expectation is now set that they get to keep their library. So for the PlayStation player, they're going to have to decide, okay, I can get this like next gen Xbox that gives me all of this stuff, but now I have to rebuild my PlayStation library, specifically of PlayStation games on PC. Now that it could obviously get very cheap to be able to do that on Steam, but that's just a decision that they have to make. I don't think that, like Logic said, if you really don't have money like that, then I don't know if the next gen Xbox is going to be for you, because we know for a fact that Microsoft is not looking to subsidize anything anymore. So I just don't know what that price point is going to look like.
No. And Tim21 with a good response. He says, as a console gamer, I've been conditioned to abandon my library. I would do it again if for the right incentive. There you go. You see what I'm saying? This is the gamer's life. This is the console gamer's life. We appreciate your all your responses. So a Bunk Pie in the chat asks an interesting question, which yes, sir, absolutely. He says, are you going to Gamescom and are you going to have hands-on and make videos about the Xbox Ally? Sir, I will try. I will give it a really good try. So yes, if and when you see me at Gamescom, come holla at me, or if you see me online and you see me posting footage, or you see a lot of footage coming onto the YouTubes here, keep an eye out, because I'm on the hunt for that Ally the Xbox Ally. So yeah, absolutely, I'll want to do that. So thank y'all, and continue to keep an eye on the footage on the channel, and thank you for continuing to support the channel. So let's move on. And we lost the great Koofy Cat for a moment. I think his connection was just dropped for a moment. We'll see about getting him back. But let's move on to the big story. The story I wanted to talk about that we all have been seeing unfold in the old zeitgeist on the internet, which is the idea that Microsoft is finally pulling the trigger and finally, starting to do the work that we've all been asking for so dang long. And the first dipping of the toe, and he has returned. The first dipping of the toe is that they have finally done what we've asked them to do, and they have consolidated the library. Right? They've made the library accessible in an interesting way, and I'm going to share some details on that as we talk. But I just kind of wanted to share the top level TLDR headline that's going around. And of course, not to be outdone, the great Tom Warren had to do this one to blow up the internet as he does. He basically went in there and loaded up Marvel Spider-Man from inside an Xbox app, and of course, the internet lost its freaking mind as it does. But yes, you can now load your Steam library, your Epic Games library, your Steam, Epic, Battle.net. Lucius, if I'm missing any, or Logic, if I'm missing any, please correct me. There are more to come, but it's those right off the top, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's just those for
me. Okay. So I will Logic
Games, Battle.net. That's it.
Oh, and Battle.net. Okay.
Yeah, you also have the extension management ones, such as
we're gonna get into that.
Okay,
we're gonna get into that. Yeah. So I'll let Logic start off. Have you used it? What is your experience? And while you discuss this, I've done this before, and I will do it again. Let's see here. As you guys see, I'm not on camera today because I'm going to let my MSI Claw lead, and it has the footage on it, and there it is. You're looking at my screen right now. This is just my desktop of the MSI Claw, and in it you will see that I'm pushing and I'm accessing the Xbox store, and I'll show you what we're discussing. So please
full screen your
I will full screen my display. Yes. Game Logic, sir, have you had a chance to try this yet? And if you have, what is your thoughts on it? What are rather your thoughts on it?
So my piece on this might be fairly short.
Sure.
I have not. I do not have a Windows-based handheld. I only have 2 Steam Decks.
Okay.
So I don't have. I don't personally, as a gamer, have any interest in this on the desktop. And so I haven't used it, and I don't have like a science experiment thread where I would go off and do this on desktop.
Understood. All right, then I guess I'll lead it to you, Lucius, sir. I know you've been trying this a little bit on either a handheld or desktop, or like how. First off, I guess that is the best question. First and foremost, how are you interfacing with this, and what are your thoughts?
I'm currently interfacing with this on a PC, like a desktop PC. Okay. So right now it works pretty flawlessly. It pulls in anything that I have installed via the other applications. I am excited to get the Xbox Ally X when it releases. And then I'll be able to experience this on a handheld, but like just on a PC so far, it is pretty good on a desktop. On the desktop so far, it's good. It works well. I think that the Xbox app has been getting progressively better, significantly better for because it's actually something that annoys me because there are so many updates to the Xbox app. There
was an update this morning.
if you stop paying attention to the Xbox app for like 3 days, you come back. Yeah. It's like, hey, I have an update that I need to do, and it's just like, can I just?
And they're usually pretty significant too.
Yeah,
they're usually pretty substantial. Yeah.
About a year or two, this application was absolute garbage. It was trash. I had so many people had so many issues just trying to install games, much less playing them or anything else. So like this application has gone a long way, navigation wise, it's also much easier to navigate. So I will give them props. This thing has gotten a lot better. Now, when I have the ability to install my Steam apps, I think
yes.
because
let's break that down. So
because if I have something that's already been purchased on Steam, and I want to be able to install it, that would be awesome if I could install it via this thing as well. Because if it's supposed to make itself into this overall ecosystem, I'd really want that.
Let's explain exactly what that means. So right now, this is how the system is working, and none of this is really new. It's just more stitching together newer aspects of what exists. So you're looking at my situation in the back here. Don't record nothing. Anyway, so today, or even before today, what you had here is the one that says extension management at the bottom, and all you had in there was the EA Play and the Ubisoft Connect. That has been there for a long time. Why is that? Because for a long time now, they have integrated the EA Play and the Ubisoft Connect situation into Game Pass, right? So while you can access all that stuff from their stores, you can also access all that stuff from inside the Xbox, search inside the Xbox, download from inside the Xbox. And it's kind of like a shortcut to inside the other app store, right? So you don't necessarily have to leave the Xbox app in order to continue to use and get apps to download and all of that. You can do the same thing with the Ubi app as well. That's because they've had that deal for a long time. The first steps of what they're doing here is basically game aggregation. They're not dealing with the battle.net store or the Epic store or the Steam store. They are, but only at the level where they're first finding what you already have pre-installed, pulling them into this library, and then using the existing API calls that exist for those other app stores to fill in the gaps just slightly. Now, what do we mean by just slightly? As you can see right now, right on my screen, you're seeing an from my left here, you're seeing Death's Door, an Epic game next to lossless scaling, which is a Steam utility, next to a Game Pass game of Journey to the Savage Planet, next to Miles Morales, next to so it is working. But if you look closely, you'll see that some of the icons look better than other icons, right? Like some look a bit better than others. And that's because they're not pulling it the way they should be pulling the information and the icons and all of that. If you click into it, you see it's devoid of any real data, right? A lot of the metadata and stuff. So it's really cool that they've at least gotten their feet wet in this way.
Show them another example, Kay. Go to Savage Planet and show them the metadata that you get from that.
This is what the Savage Planet metadata looks like. And of course, as I said a few days ago, I said at the top of the show, Savage Planet is leaving Game Pass in 2 days. So you see it's there. And of course, it gives you a discount if you want to buy it. But there you go. You see it gives you copious amounts of information about it, right? It tells you, I don't have to go there. That'll go someplace else. Oh, and of course I closed it. But it's easy to reopen, so I can just go up and I can bring it back down. So you go to the right app and it gives you a lot of information that you're looking for, right? So hold on, let's go back here. So Savage Planet data. A lot of the stuff you're looking for is right there, right? Your how many times you played and the stuff you've unlocked and the people who are in your library playing. They even have how long it takes to beat it and stuff like that, right? So all that's very cool. But if you go to a game that doesn't have any of that data, all you can do is see it in Steam. All you can do is hit play, right? And when you hit play and you see it in Steam, it will just open Steam, and that's all it'll do, right? Like I hit play, it will open Steam, as you see, right? This is not, and we'll have to wait and see how ultimately this shakes out. But this is not the ultimate move for this setup, right? As I understand it, this is basically them dipping their toe, just getting the aggregation done. But you shouldn't see the app, the Steam store load in the background. It should be more like the EA and the Ubi instance in the long run. Now, in the short term, yeah, we're dealing with what they call the beta boy situation, right? So Lucius, I know you've been playing with this as well. What are your pain points right now? What would you want to see? Actually, you know what? Better question. What has been how you've been interfacing with your use case, right? With your standard gaming fare, and what would these guys have to do? What's the last piece of the puzzle that these guys have to do in order for you to use this as your method moving forward?
So I think the biggest difference between and people just saw the screen, right? So
Mm-hmm,
when I launch Miles Morales on my
mm-hmm,
Steam Deck, I
mm-hmm.
don't get the little thing where it's just like, oh, do the launch or whatever. Steam
Yes,
knows to remove that little bit, get immediately the game.
Proton removes it. Yeah.
Proton
Mm-hmm,
removes it. So there's a and same thing with Cyberpunk, right? Like you don't get the
yep,
Cyberpunk launcher that you get when you play it on the Steam Deck. On
mm-hmm.
PC, you still get when you're on Windows, you still get that. So
Yes.
I think the next step is really uh
Removing the PC parts, like
removing some of those,
obscuring it.
yeah,
Yeah.
obscuring some of those, so some of those parts, so that way you don't see it, especially
Mm-hmm.
from like a handheld side. It could be very annoying. So
Yep.
that's what I would say is their next step. And my final vision of like what this really needs to, for this to really become great, in my
Mm-hmm.
opinion, we
Mm-hmm.
need some version of quick resume on PC,
All
because
right. Mm-hmm.
quick resume is such a fantastic feature, and
Mm-hmm.
having that on PC, and especially having that on handhelds, would
Yep.
just significantly differentiate like Windows handhelds from Steam Deck to even the Switch 2. Because that if you aren't on Xbox, I can understand why you don't know why quick resume is that incredible. But when you're playing a single player, like a bunch of single player games, a bunch of RPGs that take a lot of time, and you're bouncing between those different things, or you're playing like a couple palette cleansers as well as a big JRPG or something like that, it feels incredible to just like stop exactly where you are, save the game, leave the game, switch to another game that you've previously played. It takes about 15 seconds or so. You are exactly where you need to be. You play that game for like a couple of hours, and then you're like, okay, I'm gonna switch back to that game that I want, that I wanted. You go back to the previous game, and it takes about 15 seconds, and you're exactly where you are. And you can do this to like 4 to 6 games, and that's
Yep.
just incredible on the Xbox. That's one thing that I've missed, kind of switching to PC fully. So getting quick resume to work on PC, I don't care what I have to do to be able to make it
Mm.
work. Just like, and I understand that it has some impact on the drive, and it's like how it's going to partition the information about the drive. I don't care. You tell me
Yeah.
what I need to do, I will do it. I may not do it on my desktop PC, but I would 100%
Mhm.
do it on a handheld.
So go ahead, Logic, please. Yes.
That's one question I wanted to ask you, Lucius.
Mhm.
So when you say when you said you don't want those other launchers kind of popping up in your windshield, are you saying that's a showstopper for you on handheld, or is that also a showstopper for you on desktop?
I mean, I see it on desktop all the time, so it's not like something that I'm concerned about.
Okay.
And I'm like, so, and my mouse is right there, so that's not an issue. But it's just one of the things that if you want to, the objective is to consoleize a lot of this, so that way the average consumer doesn't have to interact with the Windows part of Windows, which has been the consistent complaint about Windows handhelds for years, which is there's a lot of windows in this,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
and there's a lot of pain points of Windows. And when you don't have like a large screen and a keyboard and mouse, doing it on such a small screen that has a touch screen, but the UI isn't made for it, it can be incredibly frustrating. Like
Yeah.
updating Windows, updating your drivers, getting all your information, all that stuff that is no big deal on the desktop because you have your mouse and keyboard right there, becomes a huge pain point on when you're playing handheld. Like, why is it? This is a frustration that I think a lot of people have when it comes to launchers. Why is it that the check mark that says "Remember my information" is the biggest lie on the planet, right? Why is it that every time that I open up Epic Game Launcher or Epic Game Store, it's just like, hey, we'll need you to log in again? Why? Why do you need me to log in again?
Because probably a lot of folks continue to complain about hacked accounts. So it's like a whack-a-mole thing where they always try to like insist on users re-authenticating themselves to make sure that it's an inconvenience that they force you. And I'm just speaking as an engineer. It's an inconvenience they force you to go through because a lot of folks have relied on the set it and forget it model, and it's brought about a lot of bad results. And then the vendor have to like deal with that, and they get the black eye for it. So they force you to re-authenticate a lot. They just do.
I think there's a mix of that, but I also think it's unreliability, right? Because I think what Lucius is talking about, and this happens with the Epic Store, but if you go back to the days of Origin, right, you were very familiar with this pain.
Oh my god!
And so let's just say in a batch of 20 instances of a login, there is code that says, hey, every 11th time this person activates the app, we need them to log in again, right?
Yep.
So you can become conditioned to that type of thing. But I think what also has my perception as a user is that on the Epic Game Store, when it gives me the option to say, hey, remember this machine, right? So and don't bother me with like the login, right? What happens is that is supposed to stick for that 11 times, but it doesn't. It sticks for like 5 times. So more frequently than I should be approached to log in, I get hit with the login, and I think that's because of fragility of the code. And like Lucius says, I think it caused you a pain because it feels like I go to a machine, I log into Epic, I tell it, go ahead and remember this machine, consider this a trusted machine. And then like the flipping 3rd time I go back to that machine, it tells me to log in again. And I'm like, no, it should be sticky, right, for more instances of login than that. But for whatever reason, it's not.
Yeah. So if they could at least, I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. All I know is please fix it because handheld, especially considering handhelds, should have the ability to go offline, all this other stuff. This will be a pain point if I have to consistently log into things, and that's going to make it so that way. And this is why Everborn speaks about this a lot: the tyranny of the default, right? Because when I boot up my Steam Deck is logged into my Steam account, right? Like I don't have to re-authenticate in my Steam Deck. My Steam Deck is my Steam Deck, and that's it, right?
Yes.
If anything, I wish that Steam Deck had more robust like login issues, pressing the button. If there was like a way for me to put a code or something like that, I haven't looked at these settings.
I use the Steam guard. It's actually pretty robust. I can log into anything I want via the QR code, scan my phone, boom, it's it.
It's pretty good. That's true. But
yes.
But because Windows handhelds also have a lot of them have fingerprint scanners.
Yes, as this one does, as I'm holding here, it does. Yeah.
So
that does like eliminate some of the pain, some of the friction.
You can essentially, I don't remember the security term for it. Maybe it's called tokens or whatever. But you could use fingerprint as a token for a lot of your logins. So that way, when you do, after logging in the first few times or whatever, that Windows machine can associate your fingerprint with that thing, and now you just need to, I need to log into my Epic Game Store. Cool, put fingerprint on there. Boom, I'm good. One
also thing that we must not forget though, when talking about this authentication stuff, specifically websites and some auth tokens like this are tied to cookies. So what you do when you go into your settings and you go clean up memory, right, or you use a utility to clean up certain like temp files and whatnot, it sometimes blows away authentication keys as well, right? They don't all place the auth codes and keys in the same place. So I say that to say we complain that they don't last long and they should last longer, But if you like went and optimized your hard drive like a week ago, you probably blew it away and you didn't know. Stuff like that happens a lot, which is not even the user's problem still, right? That should be something that the vendors kind of, the Windows vendor should be telling all of them, hey, this is where all your auth tokens should live, so that even when people clean their systems, it doesn't blow those things away. But those are the factors that people aren't aware of that can sometimes screw them,
Well, hopefully, like if I'll be using my handheld for handheld purposes, I'm not one of those people who's going to try to connect my handheld to my monitor and then also play it as use it as a PC. I don't really do that. So as long as it gives me the handheld experience that I want, that's all that matters to me. So I think that they need to focus on that first and foremost. And like, for example, on my MacBook Pro, it's now allowing a lot of my logins to occur just via my fingerprint.
Oh yeah,
right?
of course.
I tap.
It's all tied together in one security enclave.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, obviously, you can speak about penetration testing, X, Y, and Z for when it comes to security, but the convenience
it's definitely there.
Is very good. So maybe Microsoft needs to take advantage of that more. I'm not sure. I don't know what the solution is. I just want it fixed. That's it.
No, you're not wrong. So before we get out of here, we have the last bit of conversation. Let's continue giving away some of these codes. Let's see. And Lucius, I know you had some codes. We did the first one we did was yours
about Spider-Man. So let's
Spider-Man. Okay. Spider-Man Remastered, ladies and gentlemen. Spider-Man Remastered. If you are down and you want a copy of Spider-Man Remastered, a great game by all accounts on the old Steam store. How about you put in Spidey into the chat? Now, how do you do that? All capital letters. I will put it in a banner form here so that everyone can see it for themselves. And that is spelled exactly as so. Spidey, put that in the chat. And if you win, you will get yourself a copy of Spider-Man Remastered on Steam. Thank you guys so much for continuing to be here and hang out with us. So we'll take them right now. So if you have a chance to, put it in the chat. Spidey, put it in there and you'll get access to it. We also have a few more codes to give away. So after we do that, we'll give away the Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver Remaster Collection. I kind of want that one myself. That's a good one. We have the Ascent, another contribution from Morty. I think either Morty or the great Infinite Umbra has provided that. The Ascent, and then Astral Ascent, also a code being provided. So a lot of people provided codes today. We appreciate y'all. Thank y'all so much for being here and being so wonderful to give of yourselves as y'all doing right now. So let's see what code we're giving away here for Spidey. Let me think here. And ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the Spider-Man Remastered code. Let me hide. Oh, hold on. Let me hide this real quick. Winner of the Spidey code is DriverTube. Ladies and gentlemen, DriverTube is the winner. Salute to DriverTube. Congratulations. You win a copy of Spider-Man Remastered. You know what to do. Hit me in them DMs. Whether that be YouTube.
Make sure to keep account of who wins.
I am keeping account. That's right. Make sure to keep it. Make sure to reach out to me on them DMs, in them DMs rather. Whether that be Discord or X or wherever you can find me in the DMs. Find me, say what's up, and I will pass on the code of Spider-Man Remastered. Now you don't do that, we may re-roll it and give it to somebody else. So you better be on the stick. And make sure you reach out to me before next week. Thank you so much. And that is DriverTube. Thank you so much. So that's Drive Remaster. I mean, I'm writing that down so I know for sure. There you go. All right. Next game.
DriverTube says it's me, Live Supremacy. What?
Oh wow. DriverTube is Live Supremacy.
Is that true?
I didn't know. I guess. I guess Live Supremacy has a different chat.
Understand that properly, Driver Tube. Say
yes, please.
Yeah, make sure.
Yes, hunt us down in the DMs and let's chat about it. No worries. So the other code I want to give away, and this is the one that if y'all don't take it, I'm gonna take this myself. This is Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver rather, remaster edition. This is basically one of the best old school action. Would you call it an RPG? I wouldn't even. It had RPG systems, but it was kind of basic. So very great story. Very much. Oh, you two messing with names. Oh, okay. I'm seeing some dissenting reports. Legacy of Kain, very great story. If you remember the great Amy Hennig and her lineage in gaming, like that is one of her first games that she made from a writing perspective. So I've always had that game in such high regard. So let's see. If you want to win it, put it on, and this is a copy on Steam, if I'm not mistaken. Put in the chat, very simply, one word, #legacy. Give me 1 second. I will put it into this banner so you can see what I did there. Legacy. Put in legacy, and if you win, you will win yourself a copy of Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver. And that's copy 1 and 2, the remake. So thank you once again for all the folks who are so kind in providing us these codes that we can then give away to our community. We appreciate y'all. Thank you. And we have and I'm going to go through them fast. So if you're not partaking, you will miss out, which also means the pool is small. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Lucius.
I'm telling them to pay attention. If this is in the background, you better switch tabs and
switch tabs, because I'm going through them one after another. Let's see. So Legacy, and the winner, we're drawing it now. I'm literally looking at it, going through all the various names. The winner coming up, the great Big Mad Mo. Ladies and gentlemen, let me put him in here. Put it on Front Street. Big Mad Mo, sir. Hit me up in them DMs. You've won some things on the show before. You know how it goes. Hit me up in them DMs and you win a copy of Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver Remaster 1 and 2. I am jealous, sir, because that was a great collection. And I don't know why I have. Maybe during the Steam sale I'll get a copy of it myself. I haven't got a copy of it just yet. But we're gonna keep it moving because we have a few more to do. The next one we're doing is for another great game, a game that actually had a pretty big splash on Xbox during the series, the Xbox Series generation. And what I'm talking about the Ascent. So if you haven't played the Ascent and you want to play the Ascent, this is a Steam code. Check it out. It's a great game, very cyberpunky. I enjoyed my time with it. I will put the hashtag in the chat so you know exactly what to do. And that's just straight up Ascent. Put it in the chat, Ascent, #Ascent. You put it in the chat, I will draw your name, and you two may very well win a copy of the Ascent on Steam. Chop, be quick. I haven't seen any entries yet. There we go. Keep going. Appreciate y'all for continuing to rock with us and enjoying your Saturday morning or afternoon with us. And don't misspell. Yes. That's why I put it in the chat at the bottom so you can see exactly what it is. Don't misspell, otherwise you'll miss it. There you go. So we have a few entries. I'm gonna give you one more minute, and I'm gonna start hitting the draw. And the pool is small, so somebody's gonna win it real quick. And 1, 2, 3, it's gone. Let's see who wins this one. Oh, come on. It's OG Frostbit 3X is the winner of that code. Let me put him in there. OG, salute to you. Thank you for playing along. OG Frostbit, you won. Congratulations to you. Let me see here. All right. So we did Legacy. All right. And now we did the Ascent. OG Frostbite. You know what to do. Find me in them DMs, and I will get you a code for the game. All right, and then go ahead.
I will. We have one more given to us by Dr. Dry Rub. If you want to do
fantastic,
that is going to be Resident Evil 2.
RE2.
Great. Okay. It also looks really good and runs really well on handhelds.
Fantastic. So, RE2, very, very simple way to win this game. Hashtag RE2 in the chat. Put it in the chat. You win a copy of RE2 on Steam. This is how we're doing it this morning. Mad code giveaways this morning. We're just throwing it out there. Great community members just offering up codes. And I'm telling you, it's going fast. So you want it? Better put the RE2 in the chat, because as soon as I'm done talking right now, I'm just going to hit the button, and whoever happened to claim it, claims it. So I've hit the button. It's too late. Oh, it's too late. You're gone. You no longer have access to potentially win it. And I will tell you who won it right now. And that's the man himself. Great community member. Love this man. He's on his own PC journey. He's building his library, and this will be a beautiful addition. Who am I talking about? I'm talking about the great Inferno Games, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh,
Inferno Games. Congratulations, brother. Congratulations, brother. You know I know where you at, so I'm gonna throw that code at you as soon as possible.
I'm sending it to him right now, bro. I'm sending it to him right now.
Congratulations to Inferno Games. That's awesome. He is building his PC. He's not quite done yet. He's close to it being done. And now you got awesome games to play on day one. Shout out to you. All right. And then we have the final one called Astral Ascent. So I'll put it in the chat. Very simple. Astral. Now, see, Astral Ascent is an interesting game. Y'all would have had me if you were talking about Astral Chain. See, Astral Chain, now that's mine. If it was Astral Chain, it's only on Switch, of course.
Get a 60 FPS
so bad
patch on the Switch for the Switch.
So bad, yes.
Because that game, the only thing that held it back was its 30 FPS. That game had great style, great music.
This is why that game is never played on the Switch, because I am not about that 30 FPS life. Astral Ascent, though, is available to be gotten. Throw the word Astral in the chat. Got a couple already in there. It's growing. Much more. Come on, we want to get a couple more in there, and then I'll hit that button, and whoever gets it gets it. Don't be greedy. I see you in there, Big Mad Mo. Don't be greedy. He's like, hey man, I'm cleaning up. Why not? So I hit the button, and for the last time, who will get it? Ladies and gentlemen, it is Leonardo Herrera 1621. Congratulations. You have won yourself a copy of Astral Ascent. Thank you guys so much for playing. This is awesome. And thank you guys all in the community for the code donations and whatnot. It's really cool, like, you guys, and not just small games and indie gems. You're throwing out great, awesome AAA games that people would really, really love. So we appreciate all the generosity here. So Leonardo, please, as I've said multiple times now, you know what to do. Find me in them streets, in them DMs, and I will hand you a copy, a code for Astral Ascent. Thank you for playing. I appreciate you being here. It's all right. Last time, we're at the end of it, 2:30. I think we're going to keep it concise today. Before we get out of here, though, I gotta ask, and this is just for me, for the folks on the panel here, and in the panel, please, and on the chat rather, please tell me what games you playing this weekend, because I'm trying to fill in my backlog here. I don't know what else is what. I just finished beating. I'm very close to finishing. What do you call it? Well, I did finish Doom: The Dark Ages, which I really, really enjoyed. Finished Expedition 33. Right now, I'm grazing in between a bunch of different things. But I did go back and start playing Death Stranding, which I'm many hours in. I'm waiting for it to get good again, because I hear it gets really, really good, and I really like that game. We already discussed it. But yeah, man, what games are you guys playing? What is in your rotation right now? And yes, I will start with you, Logic. What new game is in your rotation or something you're excited about that you want to play? And maybe I'll add it to mine.
Are we only doing new games?
Whatever you want. New, old, whatever it is. It's all good.
So probably this afternoon after we jump off the podcast, I'm going to go back to continue playing Oceanhorn 2.
Okay.
Through
I
Apple
love that
Arcade.
game. That is great.
Yep.
Oceanhorn 1 was unusually good. The Zelda-like. Yep. Very cool.
Yeah, so I'm going to be playing that on my Mac Mini M4 through Apple Arcade.
Okay.
I will probably be continuing. I'm definitely I've got another session at least to do in Forza Motorsport 6 on the Xbox Series X. And then probably my next priority will be I'm going to get back to Death Stranding 2, but I'm probably going to try and put in some more time on Red Dead Redemption 2 on the Xbox Series X as well. I've got so since returning to consoles, I am bereft of all of my accessories that are kind of critical path to me enjoying my time on there. So I got my PlayStation Elite headset last week, I think, and my Xbox wireless headset is coming in today. So hoping I get some time while the family is out of town to spend some time on the Series X with the wireless headset.
Very nice, sir. How about you, Lucius? What games do you think people should be keeping on their radar?
Well, I'm a little late on this one, but I need to play Doom: The Dark Ages. I did not get a chance to do that yet. So
great game.
This afternoon, I'm probably going to take advantage of my extra time and do that. I don't know. There are so many games coming out that like my brain is fried when it comes to what to expect. So at this point, I just wait until the marketing cycle starts, which is just a couple weeks beforehand. And I'm like, okay, can I squeeze time in for this game? Because so many things are coming out that like I can't remember what's coming out soon.
Yeah. And for those who aren't aware, if you're looking at my screen, I'm scrolling through the Steam summer sale, which is like something you do not want to do if you have a wallet and you like it. So there's that as well. So yeah.
But I mentioned kind of while Lucius made his comment, like another thing that people should be aware of is a lot of games that were shown during Summer Games Fest are dropping in July and August. So not that it was shown during Summer Games, but NCAA college football or whatever is out the week after next. It's sometime in July. But then one of the ones that I'm trying to find my freaking watch list, and I don't think I can get to it, but there's there it is. Is it Ever? It's Ever something or other. It's not Everwild. It's
Eververse.
Well, we know it's not Everwild because Everwild's never going to come out.
Stop it.
Eric's Home. That's the game I'm thinking of.
Eric's Home. Okay.
So that game is out, I believe, in July as well. So I would, if you made a watch list of stuff that you watched during Summer Game Fest week, I would highly suggest, if you didn't put dates down, I didn't put dates down by everything because everything was moving too fast. You may just want to make sure those are wish listed or however you're tracking them to make sure those aren't dropping in July or August. There's a lot of things coming out in the kind of the back to school run up period, July, August, September.
Mafia: The Old Country is something that's coming out in August. I have to try to remember because I feel like Gears of War Reloaded also comes out in August. I'm looking at a list right now, and there's so many. Like each month, there's like 15 to 20 like high level games are coming out, and it's just like how is the industry going to be able to fit all of this? Like, what are the sales expectations for any of these?
Very difficult, right?
Yeah, sort of the sea
crush.
Sort of the sea.
Sort of the sea. Yeah, super excited for that. As an Abzu Journey guy, I've been like as soon as I saw that trailer, I was done.
It comes out in August as well.
Okay, yeah.
Metal Gear Delta Snake Eater also comes out in August.
And what's going on, Infinite Number? He says one more thing. What's going on, sir? Anyway, so As for me, I'm scrolling through all of these potential games. If you are not a fan, if you're not well versed in the Steam summer sale, now is the time. There's a bunch of crazy games going on. Oh man. Okay. So I understand now. All right. So before we get out of here, these guys just keep doing this to me. All right. So last time, because they need to continue to hear me like with my beautiful with my beautiful sales voice. So the last time, because Infinite Number is anything but slumbering, he now wants us to get a copy of the one and only RE4 remake. He threw that into the DMs right now and said, hey man, there's one more thing, RE4 remake. So if you want RE4 remake, you know what to do, ladies and gentlemen. Go ahead and hit that RE4, hashtag RE4 in the chat. And as soon as you do, you'll be added to win RE4. And whoever wins it, you get the copy now. Or if I don't get enough, maybe I'll throw it on, we'll put it in our Discord. I don't know. Before I even said that, a bunch of people went, nope. So there's a bunch of them now. It's growing. One more. Come on, let's keep going. All right. So we're almost there. I think when we hit more than 10, I'll hit the button. And I hit the button. There we go. Okay, so we're scrolling through. We shall see who wins it. And this is the last giveaway of the day, ladies and gentlemen. It's scrolling. Oh, and it belongs to... Now, he wins too many things on our channel, but it's only fair because he won it. And the scroller picked him. I will actually, you know what? Let me put him here so people don't think I'm cheating and not actually using the using the picker. I'll show you who won this one, the very last one of the day. The winner is, ladies and gentlemen, BT Maverick 707. Shout out to BT Maverick. He wins a lot of stuff on our channel. I don't know what. Your ID, huh?
He's active in the chat. So.
Absolutely. His ID gets pinged a lot for giveaways every time we're doing something. The great BT Maverick, who I got the honor of meeting in June at the June showcase. Shout out to BT Maverick. So yes, you now own a copy of Resident Evil 4 remake. Shout out to you. We'll obviously get you a copy in the Discord or anywhere else we can get a contact with you. But gentlemen, I think we're done here. Game Logic, sir, thank you so much for lending your time. I know you had some time to yourself. You know, like me, the fam is elsewhere, so you have a chance to breathe and maybe talk some games and hang out with us. We appreciate you giving us your time. Where can people keep up with some of the interesting things that you're about on the internet?
Now, I appreciate it. This was actually a good test run because I wasn't sure if I was, when I would be able to podcast again. So. It's good that you got me down out of my seat to try and flex those muscles and work through some of the podcast setup changes and stuff. So I appreciate it. If you want to catch up with me, you can catch the Enough to Keep Going weekly video games podcast on the E2KG Network podcasting channel on YouTube at 8 p.m. Eastern time on Sundays. And if you want to keep up with me on Twitter, you can keep up with me at Game Logic on Twitter.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for always continuing to lend your voice here. As you know, you are always welcome. That's how the circle works. You hear something slanderous, you hear some take you wish to come in and correct or add more to, and you're always welcome, sir. So we appreciate you. Keep that invite close. And of course, the one who refuses to let anyone know where he can be found, but we all know where we can find him. Lucius, sir. What do you have to say? What do you want to leave the public with before we get out of here?
Once again, if you are a member of the Discord, if you've recently joined, if you will join in the future, if you've joined way long ago and you completely forgot about it, just a general reminder: you have to go into the welcome section of the Discord and make sure that you get verified. And verified just means accepting the rules and terms and conditions inside of the Discord. Because we've done this, we waited a little too long. We can't really do this retroactively, so we're just asking the community to be able to agree to those rules, because as of July 3rd, at the end of July 3rd, essentially July 4th, we're going to turn on a filter that makes it so if you're not verified, you won't be able to see any of the content inside of the Discord. So just a general reminder to everyone, please accept those terms and conditions. If you don't, then the only thing that you will be able to see are the terms and conditions post that update. So this is just to make it so that way our Discord is a proper community. We've grown to such a significant degree that we have to start establishing some of those things. We have over 200 members inside of the Discord already. So we definitely need to kind of clean some stuff up, because once you get to that stage, Discord starts putting some additional responsibilities on top of you. But it's also really exciting because it gives us opportunities for the future as well, which I need to talk to you about right after this case, Ante.
Oh, fantastic. Well, all right. So before we get out of here, though, please don't forget, he wasn't here today, but you can actually still hang out with the Everborn Saga, because he is right now in Jersey at the Garden State Comic Fest, booth L15. He's right there right now. He's going to be there the whole weekend. So go find him. There's the booth. Look at the setup. He's got the hats. He's got the clothes. He's got the stickers, the whole thing. I'm sure you'll be able to take a picture, put on X, let us know you hanging out with the Everborn Saga. Shout out to Everborn. I know he wasn't able to be here this week. He will be here when he can, most likely next week. But yeah, man, that's it. We are done here. It's been a great week. It's been some interesting conversations that are going on in gaming right now. I'm excited because, of course, I found out that I will get to go to Gamescom. So now it's about preparing for Gamescom, interviews, making appointments, going to talk to folks. You know, I'm looking forward to it. A lot of traveling happening this year. It is what it is, but we're going to do our best to provide as great as of content as we can for everybody. So for myself, thank you so much, Game Logic. Thank you, Lucius. I think that's it. We've done it. It's great. We're done. Until next week, have a good one. Peace.
Thanks for being on it.